Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. So much stuff to talk about this week. First of all, I want to thank everyone who took the time to enter the Turner's Iced Tea giveaway and take the time to listen to the episode and give me feedback on the episode. And thank you to Steve Turner and all of Turner's Dairy for taking the time out and speaking with me. I mean, that was a really, really incredible experience all around. Like touring Turner's Tea, talking to Steve, really like, you know, being welcomed by them and vice versa. And I mean, it was such a great turnout online. Like, we did a great giveaway on Instagram and Facebook where Steve hooked it up with a couple t-shirts. I hooked it up with a couple podcast t-shirts. We had some pins, a whole mess of stickers, and I got each person who won a gallon of Turner's Tea. And it was just insane. Like 650 comments and like 250 likes, and you know, that's definitely the most successful any post I ever had was. And I thought it was cool. Like, I appreciate everyone, like, you know, kind of, I get it, it's a giveaway, like people are trying to win shit, but like, you know, I still appreciate it. It's definitely dope. It was a cool prize though. I appreciate Steve for giving me cool shit to give away. That was a super fun time, and it honestly, you know, like, it was a big deal for me. It led me to break 20,000 downloads. 20,000 downloads of I'll Call You Right Back podcast, and I couldn't be more proud of it. I never understood, or I never even thought like what this thing could be. Whenever I started the podcast, I knew I wanted to talk to dope people about like different stuff and learn about different stuff and kind of make it into a platform where other people could learn about shit as well, and it not be like a terrible way to do it. Like, I try to offer something a little bit different, but you know, I just been having a great response, and I couldn't thank everyone enough. So 20,000 downloads, huge deal for me, and I'm going to just keep chugging along. You know what I mean? We're about to be on, I mean, this is episode 75. You know, we're 3/4 of a way to 100. Like, that's crazy. 75 weeks in a row dropping heat. And for the 100th episode, I'm going to do something wild. I know I said that for the 50th, but, you know, that didn't pan out. But 100, come on, we got to. 3 digits, got to break into something wild. So, new shit that just came in. Today, the hottest fucking day of the year so far. You immediately walk outside and you'd be covered. Like, I don't understand how people live in Florida. You know, keep it. Walking outside and just feeling like you're in a fucking terrarium, like you're a turtle or a fucking frog or something. Just get a gross feeling on your skin from all the humidity. And that's exactly what today was like. I linked up with a dude named Dylan Rosgon. Dylan Rosgon is a fantastic photographer in Pittsburgh. If you want to look at his shit, it's at Dylan, DYLAN _FOR_REAL. Dylan for real on Instagram, and he does incredible work. So I've known Dylan for a while. He shot a lot of my shit before, and I got some new t-shirts made for the podcast you guys will be seeing tomorrow. I got a design that I got made by Murals in That, MURALSNAT, on Instagram at Murals in That, and at Murals in That is just a dope artist from Pittsburgh. And you know, it's so cool to be able to, like, you know, be friends with people that do such awesome stuff. I'm not artistically talented whatsoever, but it's dope for, you know, I try to like keep all the business as local as possible. You know what I mean? Like, if I have people that I'm friends with that do dope shit, like, I want to hire you and I want to like get you to like, you know, do some work for me. Like, I'd rather give you money than like a bunch of random other people. You know what I mean? But couldn't be happier with the whole mix up of everything. Like, the shirts came out incredibly. Thank you to Revival Print Co. in Lawrenceville. His name's Dan Perenni. I've been working with him for a long time, but shirts came in today and I'm just so happy with it. So you guys will be seeing that online tomorrow. And I appreciate Dylan. You know, like, we were out today, and it was a fucking mess. Just disgusting hot, taking photos, and he was out there killing it, and we were all just killing it. What else do I want to talk about today? I got so much shit coming in. You know what I mean? We got some more dope episodes. Next week is a special week. We got 2 episodes coming out. We'll have one on Tuesday. We'll have one on Thursday. Follow the Instagram at I'll Call You Right Back to keep up with that. What else is new? I'm nominated for Best Podcast in Pittsburgh. I'm pumped about it. Through the Pittsburgh City paper, they do a best of every year, and I'll Call You Right Back was nominated for Best Podcast. So I have a link in my bio. You could click on that right now and go vote for me. It takes 2 seconds. If you don't feel like voting for me and you want to do something else to help me out, hop over to Apple Podcasts if you use Apple and give me a rate and review. I appreciate that so much. 20,000 downloads. I'm fucking pumped. And I'm going to just keep going from there. You know what I mean? So, which brings me to my next point. We got an awesome guest this week. So episode 55, I talked to a dude named Brandon McConnell. Brandon McConnell is a co-owner of OneUp Skateshop. OneUp Skateshop, 1923 East Carson Street, is a skate shop that's been around since 2003, and it's still fucking killing it. OneUp is for the children, out in the streets for the kids. And Greg Pasquarella is the other co-owner of OneUp Skateshop. So I talked to Brandon because he's been a co-owner for like the last few years of OneUp. So like he knows all the new shit that's going on. Like he's in there currently. Like he knows what's going on currently. We talked all about what was up in the world of skateboarding, in today's age. That's episode 55 if you want to listen to that. But this episode with Greg Pasquarella is basically the entire history of OneUp Skateshop. And I mean, if you ever been on a skateboard, I'm sure you've heard of OneUp. They're legendary people. They started out in West Mifflin right on 885 skate park, and they kind of just progressed through the years. Like they ended up moving to Time Bomb, which is a legendary place in Pittsburgh. They ended up moving down East Carson Street. I think it was 1409 East Carson Street, and now they are at 1923 East Carson Street, and they are thriving. So this Friday is a day called Go Skate Day, where it's just a day to take some time and get on a skateboard and go really appreciate the culture of what it is. So stop by OneUp Skateshop at 1923 East Carson Street. Grab something, grab a board, grab some clothes. Support a local business. I get online is dope. You can get whatever you want shipped to your fucking house. Be as lazy as you want. You could fucking order a brand new skateboard ass naked, but like that doesn't give you the feeling of like, this is a skate shop this is a skate shop that's owned by skateboarders. It's been around for 16 years. And in this online world, go support the people that are right there. I mean, they got fucking dope shit. They're in it for the right reasons. You can go down there, grab something, and like I said, Friday's Go Skate Day, and I was like, well, if it's Go Skate Day, like, why not talk to one of the OGs of skateboarding in the Pittsburgh skate scene? So I talked to Greg Pasquarella about like the entire history of how it started, what it was like back then before there was like online sales and social media, what was a big game changer, Nike Dunks, Bam Margera, Element, what the problems were back then trying to run a skate shop, what it was like to try to make it through rough times, like why they did what they did, how they did what they did, with who. And it was an awesome conversation, like I didn't know what to think of Greg. I never met him before, so I didn't know like how the interview was going to go, but like we hit it off immediately and it was just great. Absolutely. Every episode I say is like a great episode because like, I just keep trying to make them I keep trying to get smoother and smoother with them, you know what I mean? And I was really happy with how this one turned out. We covered a lot of dope shit, and it was a really cool conversation. So without further ado, episode 75 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Greg Pasquarella of OneUp Skateshop.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. I always get so freaked out. Like, I was recording one with this dude named Ralph. He's like that yoga guy.
Yeah.
And we recorded the first one and it went so well. And like me and him have known each other for a minute. And the second one I was so excited for. So we're like in the thick of it. And he's telling me about like being in an isolation chamber, one of them deprivation tanks. And he's telling me this story about him like tripping real crazy. And I look down and it's not recording. And I was like, we were like 50 minutes in and I was like, I immediately got that like hot ass feeling. And I'm just like, what just happened? And then I looked, my memory card was full, but I only missed like 8 minutes. So I was like, can you tell that again? He was like, that's going to be my like closing bit whenever I do stand up.
Yeah, right.
And it ended up working out all right, but I'm trying to hone my craft with this shit. It's a lot to like try to fuck with.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about like computers, sound equipment.
Yeah. And like editing and all that stuff too. And
yeah, dude, I kind of just threw myself into it. I got a dude who runs like, you ever hear of Epicast? Mm-mm. They run like Drinking Partners podcast and like.
I've heard of Drinking Partners.
Yeah, they run it up there. It's right in Allentown by Black Forge Coffee.
Okay.
And he's just like a producer. He's just like the young Jamie. And he just knows it all.
Yeah.
But I kind of just been like, I shouted off of him in the beginning and kind of just took it and made it my own.
That's cool.
But I do appreciate you coming in. I'm excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever met you.
I don't know. I was trying to remember when I saw your photo a couple times. I'm like, I think I saw him in the shop before.
I definitely have been in there.
I know some of your friends for sure.
Yeah, like Zach Krivnak and all
I know
them.
all those guys.
So like, I guess we'll get it right into it. Our home shop was PA Cheapskates.
Oh yeah.
And like I felt in the beginning, OneUp and PA Cheapskates, it was like you picked one or the other.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, whenever I felt, we were normal to Cheapskates, and like they knew who our faces were, and like we were a little bit more out of the loop with OneUp.
Like I went there when I was a kid. I mean, I think I bought my second or third board from there, and I bought a lot of stuff from there: shoes, clothes.
Yeah,
that was like I started skating in '92 in the summer, so probably '93. I started going there, and then they had a skate park too there.
Yeah,
that was outside.
You're talking about the one at the batting cages.
Yeah, so like my parents would drive us out like once in a blue moon because it was a total other side of town for me.
Where'd you live?
North Hills. I grew up in North Hills, like Perrysville.
Okay, yeah.
So right outside of the McKnight Road, close to 79, all that stuff.
It's so that was. I mean, I don't even know when that place opened. I've always remembered it being there
when I was there, and like. When I started, so I mean,
and you said you're 39.
Yeah, so I think probably late 80s or something, maybe. I don't know.
That's
the whole
wild.
history of that place, but that was the first shop I went to that had like everything,
a good selection.
It was this little like small little area behind like a baseball store or something.
Yeah, there was like
softball.
It was like a Dunham's almost, and then you go in the back, but they had like all the dopest. Like Globe was popping back then. Spitfire.
They had every shoe, every board, like. Everything you would see in those like little skate mags you get in the 90s.
Absolutely.
They had it in there. So
I fell in love with those Cyrus D3s there, and like my mom didn't want to spend like the $130 that they were.
Yeah.
And she bought me the Globe Rodney Mullins.
Okay.
And like they were the same colorway almost, but I mean like I remember that was a Kennywood fit. Like I would go there and buy everything. Yeah. So you started in 92, you said?
Yeah, summer 92, I was 13, so I started.
Now how'd you even get into it?
I think I remember like it was like 7th grade, the end of 7th grade, these kids had these like skateboard catalogs because that's all they had. There wasn't internet back then or anything like that.
Yeah.
And they had these skate catalogs and showed like different graphics of boards, wheels. There's one called California Skate Express, and then there's the other one was CCS, which is California Cheap Skates.
Yeah.
Which is still around.
I got one randomly one Christmas like a year ago.
Yeah, so there was those, and then the kids would have them. I remember looking at them, and I was like, I want to get into that. And I didn't get into it that year, but then I think it was the end of the summer. Yeah, that summer, 92 is when I got my first board. A couple kids their older brother skated, and so we'd watch him. And then it was my birthday, my 13th birthday. My mom took me to DJ Skateshop, which was like my parents. My dad was from Ambridge, so we would always go to my grandparents all the time.
Yeah.
And this was the closest shop to my grandparents' house. So it was in Aliquippa. So they drove us across the river. And we went up
DJ
there.
skate shop.
It was similar to PA Cheap Skates. It was an actual skate. It was a skate park and a skate shop. It was an indoor skate park, but it literally was probably 2,000 square feet indoor skate park.
Oh, really?
It was not very big. Yeah, it was about a third. Now, I mean, looking back on it now, yeah, it was probably like a third of the size of our warehouse we have now in Southside.
Do you remember
really
the
small.
Edge?
No, because I didn't go out there, but I had a buddy who worked there.
Yeah, the Edge
but
had
I didn't go there. Yeah, they had a mini ramp in there, right?
A weird ass. It was it was such a weird spot because it used to be in Century 3, and I remember like right whenever I was getting into skateboarding, I got like this. You know, my friends I would see at school, like this, I talked about him all the time. His name's Jake Whiteman. He was just this kid who wore like Dickies before everyone, wore Birdhouse shirts before everyone. And like, I was like, fuck, man, I love every type of clothes that you're wearing. And he kind of just like guided me on what was cool and what was not. So I remember going to the Edge, and they had like a DNA skate like demo day or some shit there where the whole team was there, like Jimmy Chadwick. And, like wild shit. That was my first board, was a DNA Jimmy Chadwick board, and it was just like that was like chaos. And then they moved to that weird spot on 51. Yeah, but that ramp was just such a bizarre place.
Well, that's what I went to PA Cheapskates for a lot of stuff, because they had the best demos. I mean, they had like all the best teams come every summer. Yeah, that was a huge thing in the '90s, was touring.
So I mean, when you're doing that, you're 13. Like what was like popping back then? Like who were the big skaters back then?
I mean, there was Rodney Mullen was huge, because that was like his day. That was like his prime, really, putting out all those crazy parts, like technical parts. Yeah. Then you had all the guys who, like the World Industries guys, like Kareem Campbell, Day One Song. Yeah. That was like the beginning of the Plan B stuff too. So it was like Mike Carroll, Rick Howard, like Javante Turner, like Jerron Wilson.
Was it accessible as it is? Like, I mean, it's obviously not as accessible.
I mean, it was like, because there was like each side of town kind of had a shop. Like DJ's, the one that I bought my first board at was in Aliquippa, so I guess that was like the western part of town. There was a shop. There was always a store. Well, there was Shady Skates too.
Oh, I forgot about
Penn
that.
Avenue.
I forgot about that.
Which was huge in the city.
I've never been there.
It was actually the first indoor, I believe it was, the first indoor skate park ever.
Ever?
Yeah, because it started out as a roller skating rink, and then it turned into his son's like skateboarding. The guy's name was Ernie Pearl. He owned Shady Skates, and his wife's name was Joyce. And they ran it together. And it turned out, I think they ran it for fun at first as a roller skating rink, or something to do with roller. Maybe they sold roller skates. Yeah. And then their kids got into skateboarding, and towards the late 70s and early 80s, skateboarding got big. Yeah. So they started selling skateboards, and they stuck with that. And then I think they moved from a little shop in Shady Side to down to their location on Penn Avenue, and they had that, and they were there for a long time.
Wow.
I mean,
when did they close up?
01 or about 01.
Yeah, because I never went there. Yeah, so I remember hearing about it though.
If you were like probably 35 or so or older, you probably had a good experience there. Yeah. As a kid, you know. But the younger guys, no, you guys were probably too young.
Now, whenever you were younger, like if you're just getting into it, was it like popular? Like
it was like right on the verge of getting like really popular. Like it was like when Lollapalooza was the first Lollapalooza ever. Like, oh wow, that type of music, like, you know, like alternative music or grunge, what do you want to call it? And like, just skateboarding was definitely on that realm, but we were definitely the outcasts, like in high school. I mean, and it was weird because we weren't really outcasts at all. Like we all played sports. We all knew everybody in school. Yeah,
you're crazy into hockey, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm big into hockey. Like,
you always been into it?
Yeah, I played ice hockey growing up and whole life.
Okay, yeah, because like that was always what I was like. I think this dude's pretty into it.
Oh, I'm real into it. Yeah, probably a little more than like my wife would like, but yeah, I'm into it.
That's all right, though. You got to be into it. All right, so before we get into this too far, I do an opening segment with everyone. It's called "What's in the Cup." What's in the cup? So, what's in your cup?
I like the Essential water because, as I told you earlier, like I go over to Rite Aid next door from the skate shop, and they never have my favorite Deer Park. So I grabbed the Essentia because that was the next best thing. I don't like Dasani or what's the other one?
Aquafina.
Yeah, Aquafina. I don't.
It tastes like plastic.
Yeah, it tastes like what you're like what it's stored in. So I don't want it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I stick with the Essentia. I really like it.
So the only reason I know this is there's a podcast called Your Mom's House, and they this dude calls himself the Water Champ. So they had a water sommelier on there, and it's basically just like a guy that knows a bunch about wine, but this dude knows a bunch about water, and he says that Essentia is the most trash water. He put it in the top 5 brands of trash water, and I've never seen any other brand, but he said it's the most bougie water that offers nothing. I always thought it was funny, but I think it tastes good.
Yeah.
It's been probably people have probably picked it 6 times on here.
Yeah. I actually heard the other day, CBD water is pretty much a scam because the way you have to filter or clean water to put it in a bottle, the temperature going up and down like that, it
Probably
basically
takes it away.
Takes all the CBD away. So anything with CBD water on it, stuff like that, or it's CBD infused water, it's
bullshit.
It's just a label, from what I heard. So
there you go. The people are selling snake oil.
It is a little bit.
It's snake oil.
It's like the Wild West with that stuff right now.
Because everything is brand new, and people are like, "Oh,
exactly.
it's new. This is crazy." They don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
Which is, that's interesting to think about. Whole nother thing to get onto, though.
Exactly.
So, 13 skateboarding. Were your parents they were cool with it?
No,
I didn't think so because it had
Absolutely
to be
not.
super I don't know. It had to be taboo back then because it wasn't a normal thing.
Yeah, I grew up playing soccer, basketball, hockey. I didn't play football, so. But yeah, playing all those sports, and then once you get out of elementary school, you get into high school or junior high, and you're
That's when you decide.
I was I don't like basketball, and I'm not going to play basketball. And I liked soccer, but I didn't really like it like that to play all the time. So I played 1 year, and I think I even did track or something in 7th grade. I don't know why, but I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that either. And then that summer, is when I got my board, and then I started playing ice hockey too for our high school. That summer too.
How'd you get into hockey?
So, my friend Dan Gold, who's definitely my longest friend in my life. I think we met when we were 4 years old.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
That's dope.
his neighbor played hockey, and when I go to his house, he'd be in his yard shooting a puck, in his driveway.
Yeah.
And he'd have the gloves on and all the gear and stuff. So we'd go up there and just check it out and watch him, And then
that's
we got to
awesome.
get into this, and we got into it young, rollerblading and playing hockey and all that stuff.
Did you ever? Were you did you ever inline skate?
Yeah, for to play hockey, yeah, but not on a team or anything. No, I never got into it.
But not like brink skating,
No.
No.
No, I never got into that. No. I don't think I've been on roller skates in a really long time.
Yeah, a dude that I know who I'm buddies with, he low key he was like, yeah, dude, I bought a pair of rollerblades the other day. I've been skateboarding, or I've been skating, and I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, dude, I used to be real into it. And he said he fucks around with it crazy.
Yeah.
But so if it's taboo and shit like that back then, where are you accessing content to watch and learn how to do shit?
It was videos. It was VHS videos, and that's
skate shops just had them.
Skate shops had them, or you would. Basically, that was skate shops were the lifeline to everything. Or the skate mags. You would write in, send a check to the company, and they'd send you the video back. That didn't happen a lot. It was mostly shops, though.
What was the first video you remember watching?
It was Birdhouse.
Birdhouse?
Yeah, it was a Birdhouse video. Yeah, it was called Ravers. Birdhouse Ravers.
I can't even pretend like I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was Andrew Reynolds was in it. I think it was his first part ever. Heath Kirchart is in that too. I think it's his first part ever.
How old was Andrew Reynolds in it?
He's only probably a year older than me, so probably 13, 14 in it.
Yeah, because he was in. You ever see A Cop and a Half? It's this old kids movie, and Andrew Reynolds was, he's skateboarding in the movie, and this little kid runs up and grabs it, and he fucking. I didn't know that until way later.
Wow, didn't know that either.
That was his first breakthrough of it all, I guess.
Wow,
he was a fucking actor a long time. Burt Reynolds was in the fucking movie.
No way.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds.
So he was already. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's weird to think about that.
Yeah.
But I guess you would have to get everything. It's so weird now because we're disconnected because I just Google it on my phone and watch whatever you want.
It's almost hard to remember that we did that stuff, but it was basically all videos and magazines. So you were watching the videos, see the new tricks, and then the magazines. You were checking out who wore what, shoe wise, clothing wise.
What did you wear back then? What was your first?
Well, we went pretty extreme right from the gate because that's the way it was back then. Yeah. I definitely remember ditching my plaid shorts for a pair of dyed Janko pants or something. We'd buy like the white ones and then get that like RIT dye and dye them different colors. So yeah, we did that. My mom did not like that. And I remember there was like a rule, like a bunch of my mom and a couple other moms that we all played hockey and we skated too. They were like, you can't wear bigger than size 40 pants. Because they'd take us to Value City or wherever and would buy these pants, you know. And they were huge and then cut them off. And then they were like shants almost. They were like half shorts, half pants. Like it was just odd.
They were like down to right below your calf.
Yeah. Just long enough, but not over your shoe though. Because then you couldn't see your foot.
What were you wearing shoe wise?
I definitely had Airwalks because they were popular when I started.
That was my first pair.
Airwalks were definitely popular.
That was my first skateboard pair of shoes. Was Airwalks and then Vans.
Yeah.
And after Airwalks,
and I definitely had
Vans.
Vans. Chukka boots was like one of my first. My first pair I ever skated in were indoor soccer shoes because I was still like transitioning from sports to.
That makes sense.
They were a pair of Gazelles, a pair of red Gazelles, and I wore them out skating. But they were good. They were flat shoes, like soled,
and they were
suede, so they were sticky. So yeah, they worked. Yeah.
Huh. And like while you're skating and shit like that, are yins basically? I mean, yins aren't going to parks and shit yet. I mean, there's nothing.
There was no public parks then, so I mean, we would randomly on occasion go to Shady Skates or go to PH Cheap Skates if someone was like parents would drive us.
But it's just street skating.
It was all street skating then. Yeah, so we'd go up and down Perrysville, North Hills, McKnight Road, like Bellevue, Brighton Heights.
Okay, yeah.
Anywhere we could take a bus to, like we would go skate at. After like the first summer of skating, we like learned how to actually do it.
And there wasn't too many other people around doing it?
No, like there was these kids that we thought skated when we started that were like went to North Hills that were like in our grade, and then they wouldn't like talk to us. They were like make fun of us. And then we saw them skating one day and they didn't really skate. Like they weren't any good. And then they were kind of like surprised that we were like putting in some time and we learned some tricks and like could do some shit. And then they were like, well, damn, you guys are better than us, you know? So they faded off. They didn't really ever stick with it, but they were the ones that everyone in the school like marked as the skaters, but they were more like the mischievous, like, I guess burnout would be the word for the 90s. Like they were burnouts for them. Yeah. Like, you know, like those type kids, like that's what they were kind of labeled as. They were like, they're skaters, you know? So,
yeah, mischievous and shit. And then, that's what I had written down was like spots that you went and everything like that. Like what was like places?
We skated our high school a lot. We skated Perrysville Elementary a lot. We skated like Perry High School down by that way a lot. A bunch of different schools in Brighton Heights because we had a friend in Bellevue. Like we met right away, so we skated a lot in Bellevue too, up and down Lincoln Avenue.
Was there cops ever, like while you're skating?
It wasn't as much cops. It was the gang era. So
oh wow!
We used to literally get chased. We used to skate and then get chased by kids a couple years older than us that thought they were in like the Crips, and then would have to run like hell because we were always outnumbered. And it was fun, but it was also annoying because you like get set up, start skating, and then all of a sudden you're like. It was just this one dude had a black Cadillac, and someone would be like, "There's the fucking Cadillac," and be like, "Fuck!" And you just have to take off running, and they'd come out like full blown sprint run at you.
Yeah,
and we'd always get away.
Wow, I didn't
for the
even
most
think about
part.
that.
My buddy got caught one time, but he didn't get it too bad because it was like I don't know. There was some older kids that we hung out with like once we started to skate that like actually took us in that were like. Already skating, they were good, you know, and they were like, these kids are good, so we're gonna let them come out with us, you know, and they were bad, like they were really bad. Like I'm not gonna say their names on here because they turned out to be like good people in Pittsburgh. They were bad. Like I mean, they were doing like drive-by, like BB gun shootings and stuff like that.
God, yeah.
And people who would like mess with them, you know, and it was just they were always on house arrest. And in the 90s, you could get away with so much because no one had a phone.
No one had cameras around.
There was nothing. So it was like word of mouth. And by the time you call the cops, you were already at home, like sitting on the couch.
Yeah, that's why I was curious.
You could get away with anything, basically.
Now you see shit on Instagram all day. People are like, they get there for 5 minutes, try to do a trick down a rail, and there's security out because there's fucking walkie-talkies,
there was security then, but it was like such a disconnect to the police. They just told you to leave, and you're like, yeah, whatever. And then you'd get a couple more minutes and then leave eventually. But they rarely would call the cops. And like, I guess in Morristown, like in North Hills, the cops really didn't have much to do anyway. So they did harass us a little bit, but we never really caused a lot of trouble. Like when we were out skating, it was more like after or before or whatever. Or,
yeah, for sure.
You know, we were bored, you know, nighttime stuff. But like, Yeah, but getting chased was majority of like our weekends, like Friday nights. Like we'd always try to go skate, and these kids would chase us like all over the place.
Hunt you down. Was there people with like you had cameras around or anything like that? Was there? Did you have your like token filmer?
Really, not till a couple years later. Like because still like 93, 94, it wasn't like. Not everyone, you really didn't have that.
I guess like cameras
a couple years later, it started. Everyone had their parents had a home video camera.
Yeah.
So they would let their kids take it out, film skate videos with it until they get broken. They'll be like, never do that again.
Oh yeah, right.
But no, we didn't film like a lot when we were kids. I mean, unfortunately, honestly, I kind of regret that. Yeah, we just didn't really care about it. We just, skated to skate.
It's another disconnect though, because it's like we have everything on our phones, just like pull out a camera, but like
it wasn't the first thing on our mind. That's for sure. It was like, I do remember I think one of my friends has a little bit of footy from us, but yeah, not a lot. No.
When was and you stuck with it through the whole?
Yeah, through high school, that's all we did was skate. Like we didn't do anything. I didn't do anything else. I skated. I played hockey.
Did you like school?
Not particularly. No, to be honest.
Yeah,
I was like kind of quiet. I just didn't really like to be there all day, like stuck in the same place. I wanted to go out and do stuff. Like I loved taking days off school and just skate in my house, in my basement, or like
in
my
your
garage.
basement.
Well, in my garage, and just being like no one around. You have the day to yourself. Like I love that.
Were you fucking around like building ramps and shit like that?
We did mess. Yeah, my friend Brian had he lived a couple doors down from me, and he had a big driveway. And his dad was cool with that stuff. Like he was just like, do whatever you want,
Yeah.
So we built these little ramps. We had a little skate course, but most of the time we were up and down the streets just skating, waxing curbs basically, because it was the curb era back then.
Yeah,
so we were just waxing it curbs in front of every store. That's the one thing that people did hate is the wax.
Just
the wax on the curb is just.
That's a good point.
They'd leave work one night and come back the next day, and their curb is completely like destroyed because we used our mom's whole candle, to cover it, and then it went to 90 the next day, and the wax melts and turns the whole curb. It looks like and then it's just a mess.
Yeah,
and then you come back the next night and wax it again, and
it's a never-ending system.
Yeah, so we waxed a lot of curbs. There's some I still see, like you could see the faint like markings. Like from being a kid.
That's
like,
dope,
yep,
though.
That's us. Yeah.
It's a little nostalgic marks.
It is, yeah, for sure. There's a couple, yeah.
Now, like in high school and shit, what was your plan of like what you wanted to do after? Nothing?
No. Honestly, no. I did not have a lot of direction. I don't know why. I just was not very focused on much. I really liked skateboarding, but I think I knew I wasn't going to be a pro skateboarder. Like, you know that pretty much.
Were you all right, though? Like,
I was pretty good at it, but I wasn't like... great at it or anything like that, or like, I mean,
now who did you come up with skating? Is Germ like
Germ didn't come in until like after like 03, like till like once we got the shop going and stuff like that. Yeah,
because how old is he?
A little later. Germ is like 32 or 33.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember.
So yeah, he's.
Now, where did like the idea? When was like the earliest memory of you saying like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna open a shop"? Because you opened in 03?
Yeah, so what happened was actually like I was running, I ran a pizza shop. Like I started I didn't do anything for like a couple years. Like I tried to go to college. It just, I wasn't like.
After high school,
I wasn't like very directed like towards anything. I didn't have anything I wanted to be or anything like that. Yeah. So going to college isn't very hard.
It's because like what the fuck? Like you're trying to make 15-year-olds go like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life?
Parents just tell you should do this, you should do that, and then your grandparents tell you this, your aunts and uncle everyone tells you should do it. And it's just like you don't know what you want.
For sure.
So I literally started delivering pizzas because you could make money, work, not as many hours, and I could still skate all day. And that's really all I cared about.
What kind of car were you driving?
Chrysler Cirrus.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, serious. Yeah,
there ain't nothing wrong with that.
After high school, yeah.
I've always been driving beaters, so like I like hearing about it.
Yeah,
fuck a car payment.
Yeah,
that car out there right now, I think was like $2,000. There was like 70,000 miles on it, and it's like that thing is like fully loaded.
It's in good shape.
Gold like climate, dude, and it's just, that's what Pesci would have drove back then. Like that's all the bells and whistles.
My uncle had a car similar to that. It reminds me of that style.
Dude, it's dope. All leather seats in there, and it's still like electronic.
Gotta have leather seats. You have that car.
Yeah, it sucks though. Now my air conditioner's fucking going. 2 weeks ago, I'm driving down the road. and a rock comes up, cracks my windshield. I get it fixed from Safe Light. Literally a week later, a fucking rock comes up and cracks the other side of the windshield. I was like, I'm not fixing that. So it went from being like 2 inches to now it's like probably like 2 foot.
Crater, yeah.
It's just fucking ridiculous. Yeah. But delivering pizzas is definitely a lucrative way to make money right off the jump.
Yeah, I mean, my parents let me do it, and I put the gas in the car. You know, we had an extra car to use, so, you know, they let me do it, and it worked out. I mean, my mom didn't like it at all, but I was making money, you know.
Yeah, fuck it.
I mean, I tried doing all types of shit.
Like what?
Hilarious stuff, like telemarketer up in Green Tree. That was the best job I ever had. I mean, it was
telemarketer.
Hilarious. So we used to sit up there, and I met this dude the first day, of course, like training. He's like, I already know what to do. I'll tell you what to do. I'm like, all right. So, you know, we're listening to this training all day, and then they're like, here you go. You're going to start calling people, and they only listen to one. They can obviously the trainer can listen to one person at a time.
Yeah.
And there's 30 people in the room. So you just hit the button, you don't say anything, and you just go and hit the next button. You just act like they don't answer, you know. The kid told me what to do. So we played this game for like 2 months straight.
Yeah.
And they never fired us until the one day I came in and I did not know you couldn't wear shorts. And I wore shorts for whatever reason that day. I don't know why. And they were like, you got to go home. And I was like, nah, I quit. I was like, I'm sorry. And the guy's like, he told me this, and I'll never forget this. I told my mom this too, and she laughed about it. He's like, I feel bad for your mother. And I was like, why? And he's like, because you just quit this job so easily. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. I don't like it. Like, if you're going to make me go home, I was only working 4 hours a day. It was like decent pay. They paid even back then.
Really?
It was like $10 or $12 an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was terrible. I mean, you had to renew people's magazine subscriptions.
Yeah,
and most of them yelled at you.
Just reminds me
they were older and they didn't want to work with you.
Reminds me of The Office whenever he's selling all that shit. You fan of The Office? That's good. So like, dude, I was a janitor. I worked at a fucking gas station, and they made me fill in at Subway and gave me. Look at me. I wear a 2X shirt. They gave me a large black polo. Said you got to wear that, and they gave me a Velcro hat that did not fit, and I had to sit there and make sandwiches.
Yeah.
We all had our shitty jobs.
Yeah, I worked at a couple of different pizza shops. I worked for like a family that owned. It was called Adrian's Pizza.
Yeah.
And their last name was Mazzata, and they grew up in Bloomfield. But their whole, like, all their kids own pizza shops. So, like, they'd literally be like, we don't need you this week here, but go to my brother's shop in Cranberry, or go to this shop in North Side, or go to this one down the street.
You were
in the strip district.
You were in the pizza industry for a minute.
Kind of hung with them, and they took care of us. And, yeah, it worked out. It was fun.
How long were you working in pizza?
Probably from, like, 19 or 18, 19 till... Well, I ended up like owning a shop.
Oh yeah,
yeah. When I was like 22, yeah. So I ended up working at Adrian's, and then all of a sudden, this it's called Pizza Roma. They opened in Westview.
Okay.
And they had another shop in Wexford, and I don't know how I ended up. I think the shop I worked for, they ended up actually selling it. The Adrian's Pizza Shop that I worked for, they sold it to a different owner, and I didn't get along with him. He didn't get along with like any of the workers, so he fired everyone.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what happened. Yeah. So I started working Pizza Roma in Westview, and the kid who owned it was younger than me, and I was 21 or 22.
Yeah, for real.
And he literally, it was kind of a gong show in there, but we got it handled every day for literally like 2 or 3 22-year-old kids or 20-year-old kids. Like, we ran a pizza shop all day. I delivered pizza. A couple of the other two did all the prep work and cooked. And then the son, he quit showing up, and it started to be his best friend turned into the manager. So it was like, then it started to be me. Then we got a couple other kids working there, and we had a pretty good crew. And his dad would come in there and be like, my son's never here, you know, like, why don't you guys just buy this place, you know? And the one kid ended up opening a shop up in Penn State, so he was out of the picture. And then me and the other kid were like, all right. So we kind of just talked to our families and stuff, and it was a lot of money, but it wasn't a huge investment.
Yeah.
And so we got a little bank loan and a little family loan, like each of us, and we combined it, and we bought into the Pizza Roma franchise, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
And how old were you? 23?
No, 22.
22 years old, and you bought this pizza franchise. Yeah. That's dope, though.
It was wild. I was risk taking, but like, I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, and I started working in pizza shops, and I saw like people that owned them had, you know, I mean, they worked a ton, which I didn't realize until I started to get into it. I saw, I'm coming in for my shift and leaving, and but I didn't realize. Yeah, I mean, I did realize it, but at 22, you don't really think of all that.
Yeah, for sure.
So And the partner wasn't like a lifelong friend or anything like that. It was just a kid that we worked there together with. We were getting along with the time, and it worked. And
probably eventually.
So we bought into it, yeah. And literally the day we signed the paperwork, like, he was younger than me. So you got to think, like, I'm 22. This kid was, I think, 19, right?
Yeah.
Fresh out of high school, hard-working kid. But, you know, as soon as he signed this piece of paper, he turned into a fucking asshole. Like, I'm not joking, man. I'll never forget that day we went back to the pizza shop, and he's fucking ordering everyone around and shit. I mean, yeah, we're the owners now, but
yeah, for sure.
I was just like, dude, this is gonna. I don't know, man. And I remember from and I think I did it for about a year and a half, and it didn't end well. And I basically just at the end of it was like, it's yours, man. I want out of this. I want my money back for my initial investment.
Yeah,
I am gonna move on because. I mean, I got all the respect for people that own pizza shops. It's a little different than restaurant work, but it's similar because it's long hours, prep work, all that.
Yeah.
But it is grueling. To do that.
I delivered pizzas for a minute, and the dude was always there. It's just his whole entire life.
You're there to make dough in the morning 2 hours before you open to 10 o'clock at night, where you're there to send out the last delivery, pay out all the drivers, count the money, and, go home at night. And try to, when you're 22, you want to have fun,
For sure.
And I think I probably bit off more than I could chew.
Were you living at home?
I was, because it was right down the street from my house.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the time,
I
was barely home anyway.
If you're 22, is it like lucrative, like you owning a business?
It was for sure, because the one in hindsight, I got mad at my partner, at the kid at the time, for doing it, but he just wanted to be there all the time. He wanted me to be there all the time. And I wanted to do it as, which I still think this is the proper way to do it, as get it started, you get everyone there, you get a manager, and yeah, you take a little pay cut at the end of the year, but you pay the manager decent salary for what he's doing there, not some exorbitant amount of money, but a good job so that you can take a day or two off a week or whatever. I mean,
for sure,
it's pizza or a restaurant life. You're not going to be able to take off Saturday and Sunday. Everyone knows that. But at least you can get your time off,
Absolutely.
And we were having disagreements about that up and down all the time.
Obviously.
Just like,
because
I wanted to skate still a little bit. And then, if you want to meet girls, drink, go out at night, you just turned 21 and you are making a little bit of money. So you do want to go out, like all that was at once. And it was kind of like a tidal wave.
At 22, that got to be fucked up.
It was a tidal wave, and I went from being like 22 to like 45 in 1 year, and like I was the most miserable dude ever by like the end of the first year. I really was. Like, honest to God, I was miserable. Like, I was either working or
thinking about work
or going home, and then I was like going out at the bar at night, and I had more money than sometimes most kids when they're 22. So drinking a little bit more than I probably should have, way more, doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And then still being there the next day, or trying to put it together, be there the next day. And then, it just was like a bad cycle. And I didn't really see some of the stuff until I started owning one that I saw in other owners of the shops that I delivered for. And I'd be like, and I said to myself, I don't want to be that dude when I'm that age. I don't want to be that guy when I'm that age. Like, I want to get out of this. And that was like super hard to tell my parents, like, well, I got into this, and a year and a half later, like, I want to get out of it. And they could kind of they knew it was coming, honestly. We definitely had some talks prior to it, and
so you're
some hard times before that.
Your entrepreneurial type ship kind of just like fell into your lap a little bit. Were you ever like an entrepreneur?
It did kind of fall into our lap, but we were hungry for it. Like, we put ourselves in the right place at the right time. Like, and that's the big part of like trying to do anything.
But you were always like did you always like have a job and like working and shit like that? Because
I wasn't like the most hard-working dude ever. No, I'm not gonna lie. But if I found something I liked and I liked people I worked for,
for sure,
I worked harder. And that's what I realized. Like when I worked for Adrian's Pizza, like was Denny Mazzata and his sister Sandy. They were the nicest people ever. And they honestly, in hindsight, weren't that much older than me either.
Yeah.
They're probably like 25 when I was like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
But they acted pretty mature, and they were really nice. And they'd be like, hey, it's slow. Just go home.
That's
like,
dope.
you're not, just don't sit here all day. Like,
that's
skate, just go home. Or I'd be like, I'm going to go to Philly this weekend. And they'd be like, all right, it's fine. You'll be back on the schedule next week. And like, they didn't penalize you for it. They found another driver.
That's
all it was. Like, and they were real cool, and they made me actually want to own a business, because I was like, if I could do that, be cool with kids, they're not like jerks. Like, they didn't have their hand out all day.
Normal people could do it.
Yeah, they did all the same work everyone else did, or if they didn't, they didn't make you feel like you were working for them. They make you feel like you're working with them. You know?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That was what felt good about it. You know?
Now, after you're doing this pizza shit, though, like, what happened after all that shit? It's like you get out of the pizza game.
Well, I was still like skating all the time and stuff too, as much as I could at night after work or on my days off. And I was like in contact with JG and Jerry, who, like, if anyone knows, it was Jason Geyer, who's like a long-time Pittsburgh skateboarder. He didn't grow up in Pittsburgh, but moved here at a pretty young age.
Yeah.
From Cincinnati, and he got into the Pittsburgh scene here in his like teenage years. So he was like a long-time Shady Skates local. And Jerry Cooper, who grew up in Pittsburgh, he was also the other owner of the shop there. He was a long-time Pittsburgh local too. He grew up all over Pittsburgh, and he was another guy that, like, literally, if you would go to Shady Skates in the 90s, you saw both of them there. Like, they were always there.
Always.
And it was like their crew and some older guys that were older than them. And I was like, I'm the youngest out of all three of us by 1 year. Like, Jerry's a year older than me, and JG's a year older than him. So we're all between, we were all born between like 78 and 80.
Yeah.
So, but JG was the oldest one out of all of us. And him and Jerry started the shop. So they already had the shop going when I got out of the pizza shop.
OneUp.
Yeah, was already going.
Oh,
yeah.
It in 03.
Yeah, they started in 03, and I was still in the pizza shop game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but we were hanging out a lot. We were skating a lot.
Yeah.
We were always talking about business and stuff because I kind of got into it before they did. But when they started getting into business, then we started talking business. So we were like kids acting, pretend like, we were talking pretty big for our age, but in hindsight, we were just both learning everything. You know what I mean?
That's dope.
But we were all hungry to like do something. So I really like admired what they were doing, and I liked what they were doing because they basically, like, there came a point in like the late 90s, like early 2000s, and it's like been common in skateboarding since it started. Is it comes and goes in waves as far as like certain generations are attached more to skateboarding and are more frequent to start skating, and others aren't. And it's been for all types of reasons. Like Lil Wayne will start skating and he'll get everyone to start skating. Or
ain't that crazy?
There'll be a skateboard in a Beastie Boys video in the 90s, and that made everyone want to skate, Or like, there'll be like I'm trying to think.
I remember seeing Bart Simpson.
Bart Simpson skateboarding, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
I remember seeing that. My brother had like an old Gator board that was
exactly,
or
like
Simpson
the late '80s, which is like before I started. But from what I gather, and you could kind of tell what happened. It was huge right then.
Yeah,
it was gigantic. But it was like it was a vert generation, so a lot of it was like pool skating, vert skating, ramp skating, stuff like that. The street stuff didn't start until really like the early '90s. So there really wasn't street skateboarding until the early '90s. People started putting it out in videos, for other people to see and then try and basically emulate it, really.
Because it wasn't like it a crazy deal when Rodney Mullen like came out of that.
Well, there was
pool?
freestyle, which was like the stuff where you like are standing still in a parking lot, standing on your hand, doing handstands, and doing all that, which is awkward.
That's
and weird
what he
looking.
Was doing before.
Yeah,
but then he
kind of changed it over into his style into street skating, which was still different at the time than what everyone else was doing. But he definitely, that guy invented a lot of skateboard tricks. I think there's definitely some. If
you ever watch his TED Talk?
No.
He's a wild.
Yeah, I can only listen to so much of he's a character. He's an interesting person.
Because like the only like really like interview, not really interviews, but like I would watch his skate videos and shit like that, and you really don't like get to see him like how he communicates like on a logical level and shit like that. But it was crazy to hear about it all.
Yeah.
But like that makes sense though. It makes sense with like how everything was back then, like the videos and shit like that, and how generations are attached. That's a good point.
Yeah, so it was like the later '90s. Skating kind of died a little bit. Like I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't as popular as it was.
Yeah,
because I started in '92, so you got '93, '94, '95. It started to get really big.
Yeah,
and then it definitely bottomed out towards the later like end of '90s, early 2000s. And I think it was because like there's always these like technical like levels of change in skateboarding. Like it gets better and better. Like when I started, we were waxing curbs.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, we're waxing benches, like knee-high benches.
Yeah.
And then 2 years after that, everyone's trying to skate like hip-hop ledges,
Yeah.
So it's always been progressing, and like it eventually will stop for a little bit, and then it sticks on something. Like handrails were huge. Like when Jamie Thomas put out like the Thrill of It All or whatever, and or was not Thrill of It All, the other one, Misled Youth, like that.
Yeah.
Like mid to late 90s, like that was the first video where dudes were just skating like 20 stair handrails and ollieing like shit. 20 stairs, and it changed the game in skating, and it got a lot of people's attention.
What was that like whenever you first started seeing that? Were you just like, what the fuck?
Well, like I always grew up because we started skating streets, and like the people that we always watched were street skaters. Like I was always influenced and liked that type of style.
Yeah.
Because like after the baggy pants and like the goofy boy generation, like when we started, like we got picked on too much. So we basically just started wearing regular clothes, like Champion hoodies and Adidas again, and went back to like threw the Airwalks away and like wore like Adidas or Nikes or brands like that, because like it was right before like DC and all those companies started, like America and all that. There really wasn't a lot to skate, and Airwalks were starting to get pretty ugly for a while, and a little too goofy.
The
and then like
type look.
Vans even really wasn't
they had
doing
them, like,
much to change.
They had them like DSW type generic silhouettes.
Yeah. Well, there was like the big movement in like the midnight, like 95. There was a brand called Menace Skateboards, which was like out of like World Industries camp. Okay. And they were like,
I don't think
the
I've ever
city
heard of
dudes.
that.
Like they were like the city kids. Like that's what they portrayed them as. Like they were wearing polo and Nautica and skating in shell toes and like skating to like Wu-Tang and all that. And that's like what we all like got into and liked, because that's what we were doing too. So we all kind of started dressing like that, which was kind of for the time pretty normal. Like we didn't look that really. You didn't really stick out as much anymore.
Yeah,
maybe baggy clothing, a little bit baggier, but everybody was wearing baggy clothing then. Like. In the late 90s, that
early
was
2000s and shit. Yeah,
that was the style. Yeah. So I mean, that's what we kind of went to. So
were you listening to hip hop and shit like that?
Oh yeah, Wu-Tang for forever.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was a big.
That was like our anthem. Yeah, anything Wu-Tang. Yeah, we were stuck on them for.
Like who was like me and Zach and everyone. Like Zach was like Zach and like Brandon Matty. I don't know if you know him, but them two were like the originals of like showing me dope shit. Like Zach had them D3s back in the day. He would like always was wearing Dickies, and like he was always so like immersed in like the culture of it. He wasn't like, there was no ounce of like, everything was authenticity with him. Like he loved all the dope shit. But we always were like groomed on like Baker 3 and shit like that.
Yeah,
and
see, that was
weird ass.
You guys started in kind of an odd generation there.
It was weird
because skateboarding for a while there, it was like everybody, like in the like when I grew up, it was like literally like the skateboard uniform would be like baggy jeans, a white tee, and then you got your Airwalks, your tan or black Airwalks with maybe like the tongues out and like, or some white laces.
Like but me like, is like people were
plain,
peacocking,
and
like,
then
it's like we get into my generation, and it's like people were wearing like the skin tight falling pants.
And that's what Baker 3 started, like that whole movement of like the tight pants, the
horizontal crazy color stripes,
cutoffs, like the just rock star type look, more or less.
Yeah,
like
Greco, like all the shit with Greco.
It threw a lot of people off. Like,
like what was that like from you? Like, did you like that in the beginning, or like
I liked their videos because it was like pretty raw. And
them dudes were nasty as fuck.
I was like at a party age. We were partying at that age, so it was like you watch that, you got hyped. You're like, I'm partying tonight. Yeah. After you watch one of those, but like I wasn't necessarily into their style and stuff like that, but. Not their whole squad, but I wasn't like a big Jim Greco fan based on that.
He's a strange dude wearing scarves and like
he's
tight leather jackets and shit.
I think it's an attention thing. Like you have to like the attention, and you also have to have like something that sets you apart from everybody. So I think he likes to. That's his thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's still a fucking weirdo.
He still kills it and still puts out like these like insane parts.
Killing it. And he's still like such a crazy artistic dude.
Artistic and a little dramatic.
But then you have like people like another big one for us was like Dustin Dolan and shit like that. And it's like everyone was in that whole like piss drunk, like get blacked out and like just watch.
I will say though, piss drunks ruined a lot of skateboarders' lives because there was a lot of guys that were like in not just Pittsburgh but other cities would go to that just got hooked on the piss drunks movement.
Yeah,
and took it in their own level, and it did not end up well.
Just
for some, not all of them, but for some of them,
turned into turds.
It did. Yeah, you end up. Yeah.
people party too hard, and they some people can't control it.
Yeah, they party their way right out of skating or doing anything, or into jail or whatever.
Fortunate enough for us though, it's like Zach and like our buddy Shane, and like they were always like good and like I said, authentic with it. So like they were always around like the real people that were doing it. So like I was always exposed to like all this like crazy shit. It was such like a concentrated shot to me. And it was interesting because like, you see all them old videos with like all the baggy pants and all them big ass shirts and everything like that. And it's so bizarre to like see what we're into now.
Yeah.
And like to see even what skateboarding is now, because like shit's going back. It's like
skateboarding now, it's weird because it is going back to the stuff that I wore, like
100%.
in '97 or '96 or whatever.
Did you see
these kids are at Zeds buying it for like
Oh yeah, the baggy Tommy pants and shit.
I mean all of it. Yeah, it's.
Did
all
you see
there.
the Hundreds is releasing a collab with Osiris? They're making D3s.
I did see you tag that. Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm gonna grab them. Crazy, but like I don't know, it's dope shit. Costin just came out with them dunks that are like sick.
Yeah,
I mean like that's huge. It's still like a big part of. I mean like. I don't know. Skateboarding always was like the beginning of like fashion and shit like that.
Skateboarding's always, I think, influenced fashion like to a pretty high regard. Actually, I mean, a lot of stuff you see skaters wear a year or two later actually trickles into like mainstream fashion.
Yeah, like the tight jeans is a perfect example.
Tight jeans in
high school,
2000s,
everyone was calling people faggots and stuff for wearing that. And now, like that is the main thing what you wear.
Yeah,
but like so, like if you're getting ready to start this shop. What was like the whole process? I mean, it's already started, but like, what was your idea of like getting in? Like, what were the brands that were in there?
Well, they were like, they were still trying to figure it out a little bit too. But the one thing that like Jerry and JG both were lifelong skaters, and they traveled like any good skateboarder does. Like, check out other like local scenes, on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So they knew a lot of people, and also from working at Shady Skates and being there, they knew all these reps that would come through Shady Skates too. There was a shop in Oakland too called Good Times back in the day. It was there for a quick one, but it was a skateboard and snowboard shop, and JG worked there too. Pretty much probably ran it.
Really?
For the guy. And so JG had a lot of shop experience, retail experience, tons. And Jerry was just like the dude that was always at Shady Skates, and I don't know if he ever worked at any of those spots, but he was always there, and he like was a big part of the scene in Pittsburgh, as far as like, just being a fixture in it.
So if they started in 2003, when did you become?
Well, what really happened was Shady Skates closed in 2001 or early 2002 at some point. Yeah. And I was actually there one of the last nights at when it closed because I was living in Bloomfield at the time. And it was just like the East End Co-op is below it, which is like a all-natural food store. It's been there for years.
Okay.
In that whole plan over there in East Liberty. And I just heard like the rent was getting raised and kept getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
And skateboarding does go through like these things where it's more popular at certain points, it's less popular, So the park would go, I'm sure, see a little bit of that too. And the people who ran it were getting older. I mean, their kids were in their 20s at that point. Yeah. So they were in their 70s probably at this point.
Oh, wow.
So they just called it a day. They had a manager there for a long time who ended up, what he wanted to do was keep like the Shady Skates dream alive, basically. And so he partnered up with a guy who was opening a bike shop over in West Mifflin.
Okay.
And so he opened up, he took like what was left or the least of fixtures from Shady Skates, moved it over to the store in West Mifflin, and opened up a shop there next to the bike shop. And then next to that was 885 Skate Park.
Ah.
So that's how all that started. So he was there, and I actually was in his shop a couple times. I don't know why, but maybe to check out the skate park, and I went in the shop to check it out. There wasn't a lot in there.
Wait. Let me start this over. So 885 Skate Park, you're saying was there already?
It came after Shady Skates.
Okay, so Shady Skates and the bike store were all over there, and then the park happened.
Yeah. So they moved that. Then the park happened. This guy had extra space there. So the guy who kind of took over the Shady Skates business kind of convinced him to open up this park that was going to be like, it was mostly skate park, but in the back room, they had a BMX course too. This building was huge.
I remember I've been in there a couple times.
So, it started off okay, and as far as they go, I don't know exactly what happened, but probably within a year of that going on, the guy who took the Shea Skates business over there to the park had like outs with the owner of the building and the guy who owned the bike shop. The guy who owned the bike shop, he owned the whole building. So they went on the skids. Didn't look, and he disappeared. He took off on him. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't want to say anything.
That's fine.
There's a lot of people in that generation that care like a lot about this stuff. So I'm not going to say the wrong thing, but I don't know what happened. So out of that is how JG and Jerry got in there. And that's how OneUp started, basically. It started out of 885 Skate Park. That was the first shop.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. Germ told me that in the beginning.
That's how that started. And, that guy that left he left some like, basically, I don't think he left a lot of merchandise there they took over.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fixtures. Like we still have one thing left from 885, that whole era down at the skate shop.
What is it?
Little counters, little glass counter. But a lot of that stuff was from Shady Skates, So he left that there. So it had like the bones. They had to do a lot of work to it. They put up new board racks, went around and gathered like T-shirt racks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they both lived in Shady Side or that East End area, and they knew a lot of people from over there. So I remember the one girl, she worked at like Benetton. She gave JG a whole bunch of gear, like clothing racks, glass,
that's dope.
These little glass displays that you could set up and kind of move around. And so they did that, and then they opened in February of that 03.
Okay.
That year. So I was still running the pizza shop at that point. And by the following year, that spring, so that would be like 04, I was already out of the pizza shop, and I was like living with JG in the East End, and I started working there at the shop. Me and Scott Clowney, he was the first employee there, and I guess I was the second, really.
And how old were you?
But 23.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 20, maybe barely 24.
Damn,
Actually,
that's
like
crazy.
24. Yeah, probably 24 at that point. So, like at that point,
what was in the shop as far as like brands?
Brands. I mean, at that point, it was like Xavier, which was like early, kind of. It had something to do with Nike, but it didn't.
Xavier.
Yeah, it was just like Brian Anderson, who's on Nike SB
I know.
now.
Yeah,
he was on this brand. Brad Staba, who was like a long time like Nike SB guy. He was on that brand.
Xavier.
Tim O'Connor. It was a shoe brand. They made really good backpacks and stuff too.
Huh.
And it didn't stay around for long, but it kind of, some of those guys turned into like some of the original SB riders too.
Yeah.
They carried iPath, which was huge back then.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I remember iPath. I had them, Sherpa lined.
Yeah. And as far as like other brands, it didn't really carry any because PA Cheapskates had the lock on it all.
Yeah, they had to.
So they put their foot down, and they like at that point when the shop opened in that era, like when I got into it, there was Headboard in Southside, which was like a staple too at that point. They were already open for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then there was PA Cheapskates was still open.
Yeah.
And there was us. And I think actually I'm trying to remember if there was another shop or not. That I can remember. I don't think there was at the time. So there was like the three of us basically, or four shops.
They still stuck to their to their code, and like they didn't sell you in certain brands?
Yeah, because skateboarding was still small back then.
I guess,
so it was like, but the one thing they knew, though, is that we knew all the people.
Yeah.
Or that Jerry and JG knew all the people.
Yeah.
And they knew that. And that, I don't think, made them feel real comfortable. So, like, we would go to the trade shows, because back then it was like they had a trade show in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which is right outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it's this little sleazy motel. And they have this, like, outdated little, like, I don't know what you would call it, little business room, like.
Yeah.
And so all these brands, like, this is pre-Nike and, like, Adidas days and all that, but, like, Vans, Etny, the whole America, like, Soltec, that they were all there.
Yeah.
DC went out after, all that stuff, all the clothing brands, they were all there. And then some surf stuff, too, a little bit of snowboarding, but it was mostly all skate. you go there and you meet all the dudes, you know. So that's how, like, my first one I got introduced to. I remember all three of us went. Me, JJ, and Jerry went, you know, because they're like, well, you got to come with us. This is a good time.
Yeah.
Like, you meet everyone. We get super drunk in Philly. You got friends in Philly, you know,
yeah,
stuff like
dope.
that.
That's fun.
And yeah, it was cool. But then you go and talk to these guys, and they're like, PA Cheapskates got it. Can't do it, you know.
They had,
but they're like,
so
keep trying.
Many brands.
Yeah. And they're like, you know, keep trying, stay in business, and sooner or later, you guys aren't that close to them, because there is like basically what they didn't want to do is have someone move down the street from PA Cheapskates and start selling Vans, Soltech, all these other
you have to be in
shoe brands, you
out
know?
of a radius.
So we were outside the radius, and we still couldn't get some of the stuff. So it was a little bit of a struggle at first, you know.
Yeah.
But really, though, I mean, the main reason why they started the shop, we got kind of off point.
That's all right.
Was there wasn't really. I mean, Headboard supported a lot of skateboarders. They did a lot of cool shit, like growing up in the 90s. Like, they did a lot of demos in the early 2000s. They had, like, skate teams come. They sponsored kids. But it just felt like a disconnect there for a little while between, like, the guys who rode for the shop and, like, the guy who ran it, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, I wasn't necessarily riding for the shop, but I was skating with all the kids all the time and all that. And they just felt like they were kind of getting, like, taken for a ride, I guess, it was
such
things.
A weird shop, though, because it was like a lot of like snowboard shit in there.
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything too, and that was always like a little bit of maybe back then a little bit of a factor, but like I think what Pittsburgh didn't have for a little while was a scene at all. I mean, because Shea Skates closed, and Shea Skates was like the heart of the Pittsburgh scene. Like, if you wanted to see like what was cool in skateboarding in the 90s, at least in my era, you know, you went there, you would see same kids all the time there doing like all the tricks you see in the videos. You know, wearing all that gear. If the style changed, like you seen dudes there the next day wearing clothes. A different style, running it. Like, so you saw everything up and down there. And that's like what skate parks are good for, you know. That's like a big thing of an indoor park.
But Ian's had some love whenever Ian's were over at 885?
Yeah, we had some good shit over there. But it was this era of like it was like right when BAM was popular, right? So
okay.
Jackass just came out, and they were all skateboarders. Like, they came from the Big Brother magazine, basically. Like, so the whole skate community was completely familiar with Jackass and Big Brother. It was like no surprise or no, like, I mean, everyone knew who those guys were.
From an outsider's point of view, that was like a gateway in for people that like didn't really care about skateboarding.
Yeah.
That appealed to them, and then like skateboarding rubbed off on them in a certain way. I remember watching BAM's Epically Latered. They were saying like back in his prime, he was selling like $1 million worth of boards.
I remember, so the first Christmas I worked at the shop was BAM's like beginning of his height of like absolute like
the Element Hardogram.
We had, I want to say, probably 100 BAM decks like on hold with people's names ready. Call them. They came in and bought them. Yeah, and we if we had more, we could have sold more. I mean, it was like on some like Barbie doll type shit or something in the 80s where like every kid in America wanted it, Furbies or whatever. It was nuts. Like, and I never in it. Like, I didn't.
He was he was big.
It was huge, yeah, because he had the TV show, the whole nine.
I guess, yeah, because the TV show and shit like that was there.
And the Hardogram. So we sold that pink Hardogram board. I mean, I don't know how many of them we sold. It was tons. I mean,
they just did a re-release of it, and it fucking sold out in seconds.
Yeah, and he still has the cult. Yeah,
he's
cult following.
My buddy. My buddy. This is going to be off topic, but it's worth it. So BAM, I guess he was in rehab, whatever. He has Castle BAM in Philly, and he fucking was going to do this show like 2 months ago or something like that, where he booked like Yellow Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
He was supposed to unleash that or unveil that new skate park.
Yeah.
Well, my buddy, he had a few extra beers and he bought a VIP ticket there.
Oh, God.
$500 or $600, I think. And it's like, you go there, you got early admission, you got a good standing room, and then you got to take a piece of original artwork from BAM off the wall. Turns out that once they found out that he was going to do that, the whole township shut him down.
Oh, yeah.
And like, then they fucking moved it like last minute. Like, so my dude lives here. He would have had to drive like 4.5 hours or whatever. They emailed him like an hour before. They changed it. It was like, oh, we're just going to this bar.
Yeah, some brewery or bar or something.
Yeah, something weird.
Too, yeah.
But he had to call and dispute his.
BAM needs some help, man. He needs some
fucked up,
he needs like
dude.
some new manager, new help.
It's
He needs
fucked up
something.
now that like I got someone to download all of Viva La Bam and like Jackass and everything,
Yeah.
and I just watch them all, and I'm just like, man, what chaos it was. So he was like selling that much crazy shit.
It was insane. I mean, I think he sold more boards than Tony Hawk, like did in his prime on whatever record that is. I don't know
Yeah.
the numbers, but
Wow.
he broke a lot of records. And Audio was another brand that was big at that point. A shoe brand. That
I
was
definitely
big.
had a lot of
And he had the
Audio
Audio
shoes.
shoe too at that point and all that. So he had the full spectrum. He had the boards, the shoes, he had everything, and then he had a TV show. So
Yeah.
I mean, every kid wanted to skate that watched MTV because they saw a show.
Absolutely.
He's jumping off, whatever.
That was in the
anything.
intro.
Yeah. So I mean his whole CKY, like those videos, that again, that's another skate thing that like
Yeah, that
if
was,
you
like,
skated in the late 90s, you saw him
underground
in
type
like
shit.
Toy Machine videos. He was doing that stuff in Toy Machine videos when he was a lot younger. Even
Wow.
pre like CKY stuff, he was in those videos, and he had the same type skits. Like
Yeah, I mean CKY is
So-
basically just a skate video that's
Yeah.
just like that has like
it
10%
was like him
skating.
acting, and that's all they wanted.
Haggard and everything.
Yeah.
Man, that was such a crazy time, Jackass and that whole
Yeah.
crew of people.
So that was like a big boom in skateboarding. I mean, it was so to have a shop then was a good thing. And also, I mean, America's like economy was totally different than today's landscape. Like
Yeah.
the economy today, I mean, you could sign up. I remember when I went to Pitt for a semester, I signed up. I thought I was getting like a free t-shirt. And like a week later, I had a $2,500 credit card in the mail. Like they hit a lot of generations, like late 90s, early 2000s, like they gave them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of retail, like sales were really good. The economy was good too. So it was just a different time, like to start a shop, and it was a good time to do it,
Now, were you getting like was it like your regular crowds there? Or were you getting like new people, like was like,
Well,
like
that's
moms
the thing.
and
Like
shit like that
JG
bringing
and
kids?
Jerry had like the whole basically skate scene. They knew everyone from being at Shady Skates every day. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of other people. There was a lot of people that didn't go to Shady Skates, but myself included, probably because I was never really like I was total other side of town. So growing up there, I didn't go, but there was a bigger part of like a street scene, street skaters that everybody knew everybody and were like cool with each other. And Jerry and JG were kind of like two of the more well-known dudes, I guess you could say. So when they opened a shop, everyone was like, yeah, it's about time. Like, like skater-owned shop, like just skateboarding, no, nothing else, no snowboarding, no rollerblades or anything else,
Now, 885, like as a park though, like that dude still owned it.
The bike guy?
Yeah, the guy who
he
owned the
did.
bike?
Yeah, he turned into our landlord then. And what happened was he kept the park to himself, which in hindsight, I wish we would have got involved in earlier because maybe we could have kept it open longer.
Yeah.
But we did pretty well there for a couple years. And then like any other park, like it's not permanent, but the ramps aren't changing overnight.
Yeah.
So kids get sick of it, and even kids that go there every day that live down the street were like starting to come less,
Yeah.
And the ramp started needing like maintenance. And since his original partner wasn't part of it, he didn't really care about it, So he would try to leave it on the employees that worked there that he paid, the skate park to fix it. And they weren't necessarily the right, he put a lot on people that were just getting paid minimum wage.
Yeah, for sure. Above their pay grade.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was like going downhill a little bit, and it was starting to hurt us too a little bit. And it was like right around that time is when like the SB stuff just blew up.
Oh, really?
Like, absolutely. So like Jerry and JG knew this guy, Darren, who I can't remember who he was a rep for before he was the Nike SB rep.
Yeah.
But he knew them through coming to Shady Skates, coming to Pittsburgh to skate,
Yeah,
and
just
them
seeing
going
him.
to Philly and stuff. And then he was repping brands, so they knew him like that. And he called PA Cheap Skates, and he called Headboard, and he called us, and we were the only ones that called him back. Because at that point in time, like, Jerry and JG got back to him, because at that point in time, there wasn't like it was like Nike and skateboarding was like,
Yeah, it wasn't like
hell
a crossover,
no,
right?
there was like no. And at that point, it was like everyone was wearing like DC, iPath, all the core footwear brands, like they call them the core brands because they're non, the smaller
America,
ones,
Fallen
Soltech,
and shit like
America, ES, Fallen.
America had to be our biggest brand, like through our group of friends.
Yeah.
Like the Reynolds 3s with the diamonds in them were like, I mean, we all had pairs of them. It's interesting though. So like Nike in the beginning was not like sought after like it was now.
Well, the SB thing at the first was kind of weird because that's like I said, that Savier brand. It's Savier. You can look it up online. It's kind of interesting. Like it was kind of, from what I heard, and I guess I've never really heard anything else. It was kind of a test run of some like higher tech stuff, and they released this one shoe that looked like a trainer, a Bo Jackson trainer.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, that's a Nike shoe. Like, there's no way it's not, But we sold them like crazy,
And they were Savier brand.
And then and they were Savier, but it was backed by Nike. It was kind of like his little project, Then it went away, and then SB came up, And so the guy Darren reached out to all the I wouldn't say all the shops, but he definitely reached out to Headboard and PA. And then us, and we were the only ones that got back to him.
PA didn't have Nike shit.
We were the only ones that got back to him at that point. And I agree with PA why they didn't at that point. They had every other brand. They had the lock. Like, we couldn't get Soltech because of them. And also Headboard had Soltech, which is, America, ES.
Yeah.
And we were in West Mifflin, so we were pretty close to Andy at Headboard. So he wasn't gonna give us anything for free, and just be like, oh yeah, let them have it. They're next to a skate park. They could probably sell it better than me, but he wasn't gonna let us have it,
Yeah.
And he already had his business established, and we respected that too. Like, we weren't.
Now, did Cheapskates have like all the BAM shit?
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
So like that was something big enough where they gave it to like a lot of the shops.
I'm sure they did. Yeah. It wasn't exclusive to anyone. No, it was like whoever could get it.
Yeah,
they were gonna make as much as they could.
Nuts.
Yeah. There was a lot more people skating back then too. It was just a different time. Like, 'cause your generation was probably just starting, like that era. Like, what year did you say you started skating?
I mean,
or got into it.
I was like third grade. How old are you in third grade? Like fucking maybe 11,
7, 8,
12?
10, 11. Yeah, I don't even know.
I mean, I remember in third grade, I got my first pair of shoes and I got my first skateboard. And ever since then, I've just been like, I was never, now listen, I was never good. Like, I never was able to do tricks.
Yeah.
But I was always just a fat kid that like cruised around. I always filmed shit.
Yeah.
And like I was always, but I put in my time.
Yeah,
that's the thing that was different. I was like packed in them cars.
Well, you
with
had
everyone.
to, man. Yeah, you had
and
to.
like I was there watching everyone, like seeing. I was getting exposed to all the real shit. Like all these people. Like I saw all the funks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whenever I was younger, and like Gilly, you know who Gilly is? Tim Beal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know him. That's from 885.
Yeah, like
that's how I know him.
He was like he came around. He was like a little bit of a transplant, but he was just so fucking nasty.
I met him at 885. He used to come there every day. I mean, literally, like it was his mom would drop him off there every day.
He was 100%.
A lot of kids there that was there every day.
He was 100% the best skateboarder that I knew at one time.
Yeah,
like he was doing like fucking Miller flips on like just it blew my mind.
Yeah.
There's still a skate video online because my buddy Matty he was like he had a mini ramp in his backyard in his dad's, and like that's where everyone hung out. And then like whenever like 2 years later, we just decided to like build another one in his mom's house. So like we had random people that like didn't even chill with us all the time. Were always just showing up and like fucking skating it. But it was crazy because like they were always around all the real shit and like kind of exposed it.
Yeah.
Now when did so if you're getting Nike and shit in, like how did what did I want to say with it? So you got Nike while yins were at 885.
Yep.
And like, how was the response to everyone from like whenever you got that?
I mean, Nike out the gate, they put out some really good. I mean, they're still sought after today. I think some of them, like the Reese Forbes, like they basically chose shoes that were already made and then just let kind of people put their name on it or their own twist on it, like and colorway,
literally,
or material,
like,
or
alter
design.
It just a little bit.
And so their design was like very free, which was different at the time because. Back then, people were still wearing jerseys, matching their jerseys with Timberlands. Like, everything was matching still with style. So there was like LRG just came out too, which was another big brand back then.
It's crazy.
It came out huge. Like everything had a sun on it, or the birds, or a lot of different like neutral colors, like tan and
now nobody
green.
wants them.
No, but so it was just that was a very it was a very retail heavy time.
Yeah,
people were buying lots. Everything back then. So they put out the Dunk, which they took basically the Jordan Dunk and made it a skate shoe.
Yeah.
And changed the sole a little bit. Most of them, they use suede, which is different from most of the Jordans were leather, because suede's better for skateboarding, a little more stickier for your board. They used basically all their technology and made a skate shoe out of it, and kind of just threw it out there, and it pretty much took off.
How much were they retail whenever they first came?
I want to say between 90 and 100, 120.
Still that much?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
they
didn't mess around. It was never the thing you learn quick when you deal with Nike is nothing to do with anything but money.
Yeah,
that's all they're about.
Yeah, that's
the company. That's their motive. That's their agenda. That's what they're about. So numbers.
Numbers and numbers. So if you're selling all this shit in there, how long did it last at 885?
Well, what happened was, once Jerry and JG got the account, the rep basically came out and gave his rundown of what's going to happen, and I wasn't there for that, but I mean, I heard it firsthand from both of them that, he basically laid out their little map of what they want to do, and what's going to happen, and
as far as what,
a lot of it worked out.
Basically,
this is going to get bigger than you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're not going to be in the end probably the benefactor of it.
Yeah,
but ride the wave while it's ride it.
Yeah,
and just jump on. And the one thing they didn't tell you to do is to be careful or no. They don't use either one of those words.
Yeah.
But so basically how it started is the Dunk was obviously the main shoe that everybody wanted. And then they also would incorporate into each drop a shoe they would design, or a couple shoes they would design. So they started off with some wild ones, like the Zoom Tray, which was it almost looked like it had a cage built around the shoe, like a rubber cage, and it had more of a running look to it. But there was guys in the SB, in the skateboard line, they were filming in it, they were putting out, a trick or two in it. It wasn't for everyone, but
people were still skating.
People were skating it, and they were also ultra expensive. I think they were over $100 at the time, and they were also odd looking, and they were.
Were they hard to sell because of that?
Yeah, very hard.
Yeah.
So you get a shipment in, and you got your one hit. You got the Dunk of the month, whatever the Dunk is.
Yeah.
That's basically, you can count on that going out the door. Then you would get and basically how they would do it was they would say you would have to support this line to get the Dunks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got to buy out of their catalog these certain models to get the Dunks, and the more you buy of these, the more Dunks you get.
I worked at that streetwear store, and that was kind of I kind of got to see what it was like. The exclusive pairs, you got to buy the generic type shit, and you got to push it.
But again, it was a combination of a bunch of things. Is at the time, skateboarding again kind of went downhill again.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cooling out again. It wasn't the most popular thing to do. Streetwear was also coming up with the evolution of the SBs. A lot of streetwear came out of SBs, matching with your brand was going to match with the Dunks that came out each month, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what were we talking about here? I got lost here.
We're talking about how long it took to get down to Southside from where yins were. If yins are at 885, how long did that last?
So we're at 885, man. For we started 03, we're there till 06, 3 years.
Oh yeah,
and we're having good success with the SBs.
And the skate park was falling apart.
Falling apart at the same time, but we didn't really give a shit because all we had to do was get these SBs in every month. And we had people lined up.
So that was your bread and butter, was the SBs.
It turned into it. And it was cool because we were seeing some sort of success we never saw with a skate shop before, where people actually gave a shit.
And they wanted
it wasn't necessarily skateboarders, which we realized that real quickly. There's a whole nother world. And honestly, back in 04 or 03, I did not realize that there was
the sneakerhead world.
I did not know a thing about it. And I don't think JG or Jerry knew too much about it either.
Because
we were blown away, dude. Yeah. One day, this dude came in and was we were kind of in between drops of Nikes, and we had a lot of everything, but nothing hot.
Yeah.
And he's I'll buy all your SBs right now. And we were whatever, man. He's no, I'm serious. Come outside. Look in his van. It's all SBs. He was going up and down the East Coast buying them all. And So we were like, all right, let's sit down. And we sat down and paper pencil and narrowed everything down to a price. And he pulled out his bag, paid us, and left. And,
really?
It was just the
what
first.
Was he doing with them? Reselling them?
Yeah, because that was the very beginning too of at least that what I knew of. Reselling could have been going on a lot longer than that, but that's what I knew of.
Yeah,
that's how long it was going on. That was the start of what I knew it.
Huh? So that's pretty wild. Nikes, man.
Well, it was the hard shoes to get, and a lot of them like I said, they put out a Dunk, it was great.
Yeah.
It would sell. They put out Air Force, it would sell. Put out Trainer, it would sell. But then they had this shoe called the Team Edition, which was basically Nike's like wannabe skate shoe.
Yeah.
It's okay, but if you're going to buy anything, you're going to buy the Dunk. You're not going to buy this shoe. Then they had the wild one I was talking about, the Zen Tray.
Were you guys only getting SBs and like these other ones, like skate Nikes?
I mean, obviously when you have these other brands like iPads and stuff like that, they're doing okay at the same time too, because Nike wasn't for everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of people did not like it at all, actually.
Really?
No. Yeah, I mean, a lot of skaters were like, I'll never wear Nike, I'll never, But, that kind of...
phased away.
Yeah.
Now, now you said Air Forces. Did Yins have Air Forces in the skate shop?
SB, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. Huh. That's pretty interesting. And so 2006, you guys moved down to Southside?
No, we went to Time Bomb. So what happened was...
I forgot about that.
We basically went to work one day at 885 Skate Park at our shop there. And the skate park had like a closed sign on it, and not like a closed for the day. Like, we're closed.
Yeah.
So we go over to talk to the owner of the bike shop, who was a nice dude, but didn't give a crap about anything over there. Like, the skateboarding and stuff. His business is still there and does really well.
Oh, it's still by 885?
It does really well.
What is 885
He just didn't care.
now?
It's his bike shop. He took over our part where our skate shop used to be.
Yeah.
So he expanded his bike shop, and then the other part is, I think it's shipping and receiving for some company.
Okay.
It's warehouse space. It's big warehouse space back there. But so we walked over there and talked to him, and he's like, yeah, it's done. And we were like, it's done? He's like, yeah, it's done. He's like, I don't want anything to do with it anymore. So we were like, well, I mean, I invested money into it. Jerry and JG invested tons of money into it, to get it started.
Yeah, so what happened?
So we were like, what the fuck are we going to do? Like we literally were like, I mean, and also at this point, we were like riding some little wave of success too with the shoes. So we were kind of feeling like we were not on top of the world, but we were like feeling pretty confident for being, beginners. And
so wait, that's legal to do? Like that dude just was able to just close it down?
Yeah, it was his business, it was his building,
and and you had no warning of it at all?
Not really, no. I mean, he tried to pull it one other time, and I think we like the kids in the park, the guys who worked in the park, and us talked to him. And we're like, let's keep it going, But I don't know what it was that he blamed. Some financial, like he wasn't making anything off it.
Yeah.
Wasn't helping him out business-wise to have it as a write-off. It just wasn't working for him anymore. So he just said, I can't do it. And we tried. We looked into it, and he asked us for this exorbitant amount of money of rent a month.
Oh, really?
Like $5,000 a month he wanted to keep.
Holy shit.
So what we were going to do is then have to throw our skate shop in the park and then have the park and then the shop, and then it would be like $5,000 a month. We're like, dude, we can't do that because your park... He let the park go too far.
Yeah.
And we let him know that. Everyone was warning him that. He didn't care. So we kind of just let it fizzle out.
Wow.
But it was
that's
a great...
insane. $5,000.
I wasn't there for the whole run there, but I was there for a good bit of it, and it was a good run.
Yeah.
I mean, being part of that and seeing how many kids come in there every day, and you meet their parents and, like, give kids their first board or...
It's still cool to see the pictures on OneUp's Instagram of all the first board feels.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, where did Time Bomb come into this?
So like Jerry and JG, this brings back to them because they knew everybody in the city forever, and they were like, and I knew about Time Bomb, but I didn't really know Brick at this point.
Because Time Bomb that was whenever it was like thriving.
Yeah, it was no, he was actually at that point too. Probably doesn't want to. He'll never want to admit anything, but he was going through a little change too at that point because the SBs were getting really popular. Streetwear was changing from like football jerseys and Timberlands to like LRG and 10 Deep and like all these brands that came out to like basically match the skate stuff, you know? So like he was going through a little struggle too, because a lot of his customers were kind of falling off because they weren't buying the jerseys anymore. They weren't buying all that.
Yeah, they wanted all that new shit.
Yeah, they wanted that.
Crooks and Castles, 10 deep and all that.
Yeah, wow, Crooks and Castles.
Because
I forgot about that one, but yeah, that
you
was
want to know
huge.
why I knew that? Is because like Crooks and Castles, I would go down to Time Bomb and they always had 2, 3X in Crooks and Castles, so I would always fuck with that.
But I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I remember Jerry was like, "Hey man, I got this friend. He got this shop called Time Bomb. He's kind of like changing it up. So he's got a little bit of store space in there. Like we should move the shop in there and just like kind of learn how to be like a retail store.
Where the fuck were Ian's at?
And not be a, just a little skate shop basically in West Mifflin.
Yeah, but I mean like where were Ian's at in that store?
So if you went to South Island store and you walked in there, we were in the very back in the corner. Like in the very end.
Where that little door room, where that little doorway is?
Go in there. We were back there. We had our little wall of skateboards. At that point, we did have to tough it out the park for a little while. Like it took a little while to get out of there and to get a plan. I remember we moved like right around New Year's to Time Bomb. And those last couple of months when the park closed and we were just shopping there, we blew through a lot of money because we weren't making the same sales. We didn't have kids coming in buying stickers every day. We didn't have all that. So we were like a destination spot. You had to drive there just to get a board. And
instead of going there for like a park.
We weren't exactly. So we weren't doing very well. And the SBs were doing, fine, but that can't pay for everything,
And there was no online sales, right? Like
you weren't allowed to sell SBs online.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Huh. No. But other shit did you have online sales?
And stuff backdoor, but they had us so scared, man.
Oh.
So we had a couple bad run-ins. I'll tell you in a little bit. But so we moved into Time Bomb, and Jerry and JG are like, yeah, this dude Brick, he runs the store. He's a good dude. He'll let us in there. So I still remember, I really didn't know him that well. And we're moving all our shit in there, and he's fucking screaming at everyone in the store because that's just how he is.
Yeah, that's how he is.
He just fucking yells, and there's these customers in there, and he's like, I'm like, Jerry, is this dude gonna fight these dudes? And he's like, nah, man, they're talking. And I was like, they're arguing. He's like, nah, they're talking. And like a month or two later, I realized I got it, like
he's just loud.
I was like a little put off by him first because I was like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, he don't shut up.
He got a big
He's already making fun of me already. I've been there for like 10 minutes. He's making fun of all of us. He's telling us what to do. He's just tells stories all day.
Yeah.
And he's nuts.
A legend.
He's kind of crazy,
he's a fucking legend.
I was kind of intimidated from him.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to lie. And then, so we went in there, and I tell people it was like retail boot camp. Like, he would literally, because, I don't know, he just had that like military mindset. I think he went away for a little while, like to a little, like he got in trouble as like a teenager, and he went to like a military camp, like a little camp for a little while, and he had this like military mind. He was always on time. Like it didn't matter what he did the night before or anything, he would be there at noon. And like at that point, we were starting to like, it was like a first time we had trouble at the shop too, and like we were doing okay with the Nikes, but everything else wasn't really doing that well.
Yeah.
So all the Nike money was paying for everything.
Yeah.
And that's where it started to get tricky. And like all people wanted from us was Nikes too. So that was always, so like the problem was,
what was like your second biggest brand there?
For a little while there wasn't one, but it was iPath.
Really?
At that point. Yeah, because like or DVS a little bit and Lakai. DVS and Lakai a little bit too.
Wow.
I didn't mention either one of those brands, but yeah, definitely.
What about clothes?
Nike.
Oh yeah, still.
Yeah. I mean, it was like some OneUp shirts, stuff like that. We didn't really go big on clothing.
Ian's always made shop shirts?
Always, yeah.
What about shop boards?
A little later down the line. We're getting there.
Okay.
Right around that time. So like once we moved into Time Bomb, that's when we started realizing like, well, we're not at a skate park. We can't make $100 off stickers every day.
Yeah.
From just selling little kids or selling helmets. Like we kind of also have to cater to people who are coming in here.
Yeah.
Which was a little strange because we were a totally different environment.
Absolutely.
Than from being at like a skate park.
I mean, like, were there skateboarders that were coming
like
into
inner
Time
city
Bomb?
clientele, No. Yeah, that's the other thing that happened too, is like we lost a lot of connection to a lot of people when we moved there just from being in the shady side.
Yeah, it had to be.
From having a prior business in West Mifflin. It's like two totally different ends of town.
Yeah, it's fucking
So all those
hike.
kids that can't drive and stuff like that, their parents weren't gonna. Maybe once in a blue moon they'd bring them over, but we were definitely not doing well there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a secret either. I mean, you could just tell. But we were 25, 26. Like we were all probably going out having way too much fun at night.
Yeah.
We were definitely doing that. But we were doing, like Jerry was a DJ, so he was always DJing at night. JG DJ'd too at night stuff. And that whole crowd from like Shady Skates, that whole era was all like the same age or roughly. And you could go to Shady Side and just see any one of them people at a various different number of bars, you know, and just hang with them. And the rest of the night, you're out, you know. And we probably got carried away and got a little cocky and thought we were like doing better than we were.
Yeah.
You know, and then it got pretty real in there because we started that was probably the first time we really were like running out of money, you know, like, and struggling and being like, damn, we're just back to square one now. Like,
yeah, for sure.
We were doing really good at 885, then it kind of tanked. And then
now, let me put
here.
a pin in this real quick. At 885, were you guys having like demos and shit there, or were you getting like any sort of like.
We did a ton of stuff there. That was like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that was Jerry and JG's main thing when they started the shop, and then even when I came on, we always did. It was like we're all about the kids and events, and we didn't do like one a week. It wasn't like a obsessive amount, but it was like enough
to where it was keeping it.
We did a
relevant.
barbecue every year at the skate park.
Oh, that's dope.
Which was really big. So it was like everyone we were friends with at night, plus all the we'd go out at night bars and stuff like that. All the bars, a lot of the owners would donate beer, food.
That's dope.
Because we were spending a bunch of money in their bars too. They were cool. They always really appreciated.
Now,
us.
were you guys always getting respect? Like you see, you guys get respect by a lot of people. Like,
well, the thing is like we had a lot of industry connects. You know,
yeah,
from Jerry and JG being at Shea Skates for so long and knowing all these people that came through there to sell those people products.
I didn't know that place was such like a pivotal point.
Shea Skates was a hub for skateboarding. I mean,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just like PA Cheapskate was for you guys, but it was kind of associated more by area where you were at. The closest
for
place
sure.
You could go is where
for
you went back then.
Huh. But OneUp was a struggle.
It was a struggle with Time Bomb, but there is where.
That's what I said. A Time Bomb's a struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we all kind of like had a hard time, and we were all having hard times in our own lives too. You know, like just being that age is really hard.
For sure.
Just most people are getting out of college, getting their first job. Like, and we're like, damn, how do we pay Nike back? How do we pay our rent this month? Like, what are we gonna do? You know, so we had to grind. I mean, we all started getting extra jobs, stuff like that, because. By no means was it going to be over, you know, but we were still trying to fight for like getting like a bigger street scene and like street skateboarding, and like, we had success doing that at 885. We had lots of guys like come start, skating with us. Like our crew got bigger that we skated with all the time, you know.
So in Pittsburgh though, was there like a strong skate scene?
Now or then?
Then.
Yeah, there was, but it wasn't what we were doing slowly. I don't think we realized it, but we were really like kind of on the forefront of it at the time because like we started to get sponsor kids from the area that were really good, and after we did that, then we got these two brothers from Butler. It's Nick Panza and Henry Panza.
Yeah, Henry Panza.
They their uncle lives down the West End, and they were kind of having a hard time at their house.
Yeah,
and they got shipped down to the West End. And they skated, and
I watched that 1998 part on OneUp's on the website yesterday. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah,
it was Henry Panza's part.
Oh yeah, and
that's fucking crazy.
So we would go at the time back then, and a big skate spot was like right in front of Heinz Field.
Yeah,
they have ledges down there along the river, and then they have like these knobs or boat ties.
Yeah,
and you could do tricks over them. It's a big, wide open, flat area. The cops rarely would really kick us out down there.
Yeah. So
it became like an every night after we closed the skate shop, we'd go down there and skate till it got dark. And there was little lights. We'd grab a 6-pack. It was like our hangout kind of.
For sure.
We didn't really have that in Pittsburgh before, like where there's a scene. Like you can go somewhere after work and go skate with 20 dudes, not at a park, like on the street, So, and it was growing, and there was more and more people wanting to be part of it. And so we carried that along to Time Bomb, but we didn't necessarily have the inventory to match it, or the necessarily like the means to do it either. But we kind of fake it till you make it, man. I mean, we got creative there, and like Brick helped us out. Like we kind of like slimmed down what we were doing, just did mostly SBs, a little bit of boards.
And what were the boards that we're selling?
At the time, it was, we've always sold a lot of deluxe, like real anti-hero, crooked. We always like, once we got into Brick Store, we started trying like more identifying with brands that we liked rather than carrying everything.
Yeah.
Skate Park, it was like, you got to have helmets, you got to have this brand or this brand, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. This is what the kids want, you know. Well, now we're Time Bomb. It was more like, well, what do these older guys want? They're in college. They're going to buy a board every 2 weeks, and you know, and that. So we started like Listen was a brand then that was popular. We just did a lot of business with them too. Stereo was big back then. Stereo skateboards.
What about Toy Machine?
Bootleg and Baker.
Yeah.
Toy Machine.
Because Toy Machine was definitely, I was thinking like what was
but
like.
At that point, literally, we had like 36 boards maybe. So we didn't have a lot, you know. We were just carrying a little bit of everything. Girl and Chocolate, skateboards.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like we were just carrying a little bit of everything, just enough to keep like the locals boards, you know, basically. And then, you know, we were really making money. Whatever money we made, we called and ordered more shit. That's all how we were doing it. We got in some hard times there for sure. And it's kind of where like we kind of went, some of the guys went different ways. Like I started working at Diesel, believe it or not. First year they were open. Yeah, I got a job at Diesel.
Doing
again,
what?
Brick was like, my buddy runs the bottle service down there. He's like, you're going to go down there and work this weekend. You'll make a shitload of money. And he's like, you could put it in the shop then, you know? And I did. And I was like helping these bottle service girls. I was filling up orange juice and water. And we were making good money though. Like,
that's dope.
And we're making more than like barbacks and bartenders. And they were getting mad at us because it looked like we were doing less, but we were doing.
Yeah,
probably were, but we were just doing different stuff. But it was a good little hustle. I made a good bit of money. And JG got a job at William Penn Tavern in Shady Side, which is probably like my favorite bar in Shady Side.
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite bar and food, bar-wise over there. And that was our big hangout too. Like we all hung out there every night. That was our spot. We knew everyone there.
And how long did it last over there?
We were in Time Bomb for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah. And then, yeah, so Brick was getting sick of us because there was a lot of like, we were just having a hard time, man. We just didn't know what the hell to do. And we didn't have a lot of funds. And all our initial like investments kind of, we went through it, you know? I mean, and we made it back and invested it. And then in the slow times or times we had to move, that was expensive to move from 885 to Time Bomb and all that. I mean, we were struggling and we were making money, putting it in ourselves and buying stuff. And,
so what was it like before Ian's left?
It's like pretty hairy, man. I'm not going to lie. Like it was honestly probably like the hardest time, probably one of the hardest times of my life because it was like, damn, like these dudes that I kind of grew up like, I wouldn't say idolizing, but looking up to skateboarding. Like I ended up running a shop with them. And now like we had like the greatest like first couple years and now like it went to fucking shit. But none of us ever were going to quit, you know, like or close it up. Like we never even, I don't think anyone ever even thought about that or talked about that.
Yeah.
It was just like, how are we going to do this or what are we going to do, you know? So we went through a couple of different people that tried to help us out, but it didn't necessarily work because we had a lot of people that wanted something to do with us because we had a Nike SB account.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, put it that way. We had a couple of different people that tried to approach us business wise, like but at the end of the day, all we knew they didn't want nothing to do with us. They just wanted our SB account. They wanted to have that and have their name on it and be able to order it and blah, blah, blah. It was that big of a deal. But they didn't understand like how hard it was to do it. You know what I mean? Because what was happening was, you know, we're getting these shoes every month. We're selling one model and the other three are sitting there like collecting dust. So we're trying to pay for our whole shop, inventory, bills, everything with these one freaking model,
one
you know,
size
and then pay Nike back too.
Yeah.
So we're constantly like robbing Peter to pay Paul and then robbing Paul paying back Peter. And then it was a
flip flop.
It was tough, but,
so how the fuck do you make a move to Southside?
So basically what happened was like I worked for about a year or so at Diesel. Jerry saved up some money, you know, a little bit. And JG at that point was kind of like, hey man, like I'm making money. I don't want to put it in the shop. Like I want it for myself, you know? And he's like, I'm done, you know? And that was really hard. Like I'll never forget that. And it didn't go as easy as I just said it, but for this, I'll just keep it at that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it just,
that was
what
colorful.
happened, man. You know, it just, that's what happened. It was like, it sucked. It did.
It was like a pillar and a tripod and one of the legs are
and
gone.
It was, but it also made me realize that like there's going to be an end to this sooner or later, whether it has to do with me or Jerry or whoever else would end up being part of this. Like this isn't going to go forever. I just, you know, it gave it a little bit, made it a little more serious, you know, at that point.
What year is that you're moving?
Like 07.
Okay,
some point in 07. So like it got real after that, you know, that me and Jerry are looking at each other like, fuck, man, like, you know. So the one thing I learned by working at Diesel was Southside is the fucking place to be.
Popping.
And like I wasn't there that much in the daytime, but when I'd be there like 6, 7 at night to open a Diesel early, there was people everywhere. And I knew, I'm like, if we could get down here, we could do good again, you know, and get this place back on its feet. So that's basically what we did. We found a place on Carson Street. It used to be Pittsburgh Guitars, Pittsburgh Guitar Center, and it had the yellow submarine in the window there.
Yeah.
They had for like 20 years.
Wow. And
they moved down the street to a smaller location, and for another reason, which I'll tell you later. It's a good one. Yeah. So we moved in there, and we boarded up the windows and, you know, painted everything, and I took out another loan through my family loan thing. Yeah. And my grandpa kind of helped me out, give me a little kickstart. Yeah. And we went like, I always called it like, put our balls on the table to get chopped off. I was like, this is the fucking time. Like,
it's
we've seen like good, we've seen bad. Like,
and this was like the last.
Like, we're already there. Bit. We got it all going. Like, let's fucking do this, you know. And that's kind of the attitude I had at that point. I was just like, fuck it all.
Chills.
No, really, I was like, fuck it all. Like,
yeah, that's dope.
Going all in. We're already all in it already. What's it matter?
Yeah.
So, but that time was like actually the hardest time, but it also came to the coolest time. Like really one of the best times ever. Because right before we left Time Bomb, they had Red Bull would always like dip its nose in skateboarding or extreme sports. Yeah. And they did this photo competition where a local photographer went out with like each skate shop and shot these kids for a weekend. And then the winner won a trip to New York, right?
Really?
Yeah. So we knew the Red Bull rep, and it had nothing to do with why we won. But in comparison at that point, like we had all the street skaters, the guys who were doing this. And I think that was PH Cheapskates was kind of on the way out. They didn't really have maybe like such a team. And like Headboard 2 was kind of on their way out. They weren't as in touch as they used to be with it.
Did Cheapskates ever had a team though? I don't remember.
They did. Yeah, they did. Definitely had sponsored kids. Yeah.
I remember them sponsoring a few, but like I never remembered like yeah, I guess.
But so at the time, a lot of even our guys were starting to get older, and not when I say older, I'm like 25, 26, you know. Yeah. But we knew we needed to have like new kids on our shop. We knew we needed to get younger kids, but at the time there wasn't like a lot. Like the generation was kind of slower. They just weren't very like they didn't put the work in, you know. Honestly, there wasn't any kids that stuck out, and so there's another shop called Blank Skate Supply, right? So this is where like the Funks and Zach Funk, Justin Funk, and all these guys come in. Well, they got wind of this like photo competition, you know, through the shops, and they were like, and this is typical like Funks or anybody the kids ended up riding for a shop. They just wanted to get somewhere, and they knew that we were like had the shop with the connections, like we knew the pros would come into town and all that, and they're like, well, they're having a photo competition, then I'm going to ride for OneUp. So we sponsored Drew Winden first, and it was because he actually had the balls to come in. He gave us a videotape, and he's like, I want to ride for your shop. Check out my tape, right? And so we watched it, and we were like, fuck, man, this kid's like better than we are. Like, this sucks. And he was like really good. He looked really good on a board. Yeah. He just looked like a natural, you know? And we were like, and he's friends with like Zach Funk, Austin, Canfush, Justin Funk, all the Funks, and a couple other kids that we knew. And I was like, if he rides for us, I guarantee you the rest of them will come. They'll ride for us because, you know, he's not the best one out of the group. Even though he's really fucking good, he's not the best one. But they're gonna be like, "How the hell did you get on one?"
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And
he had the balls to come in. He was like, he wanted to come in, hang out.
That's
he
fucking
wanted to be
dope.
like part of it. And he was like 15, you know. And he'd come in and get made fun of, and we'd give him a hard time. Then go skate with him, or would watch him at the parks, like growing up, you know, and stuff. And so sure enough, they were like, "Well, we don't want to ride for Blank Skates Fly for this contest. We want to ride for OneUp." So Austin quit. Which Austin Canfish, he just turned pro this year. He quit, and then the Funks were like, "Yeah, well, we're not going to stay either," so we quit. So they all came to OneUp. So like in one weekend, we had like a new squad of young kids that all
fucking
ripped.
murder a row.
Yeah, and literally, I still remember like the first day we brought them like all out together. We had one of the guys who made a couple of our shop videos, Andrew Klein. He was out with us, and he was like, "Who the fuck are these kids? You know, like, where do you want to go today?" And I was like, "Let's just go to MLK."
Yeah.
And we went to MLK, and I think Austin like back 180'd over the like the big rail. And
really?
The bank. Like,
how old was he at this time?
Dude, probably fucking 14 or 15.
Wow.
And he did it in like 4 tries or 5 tries, and I remember Klein was like,
Funks are the same age around?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Wow. So all these young ass kids that are fucking ripping around.
And so we took them to all these spots to get like photographed with this photographer, and then our filmer was filming them anyway. And then one day, these dudes got like a
crazy
pretty
footy.
good amount of footy, and for not knowing them that well or anything, like we had a blast all day, and they fucking killed it. Like they got all this shit done. And so then we went out the next day and the same thing. And then we were like, yeah, you know, after that, it slowly, like, within a couple months, we moved to Southside and brought all them with us. So they were like full on, like, high school kids, shop riders, and they were filming full time, putting out videos.
Okay.
So they put out a video right actually when we moved from Time Bomb into OneUp in Southside. They put out a video called Bolts and Butter.
Yeah.
And it won, like, Stereo named it, like, the shop skateboard video of the year, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
so
that.
We won
I
this,
remember
like,
watching
video,
that,
and they played it on Stereo's website for, like, a whole day.
Wow.
And we got a lot of credit online for it. Well, so, like, everyone in the industry and, like, kind of, like, you know, people we knew, too, even were like, who the fuck are all these kids? They're ridiculous. Like, and I was like, dude, they're really good. I was like, I don't know.
So they're all like 16, 17 whenever they're in that video.
Yeah. And they were kids, man, like literally. But they were like very motivated. Like they weren't drinking, they weren't smoking weed, they weren't like doing anything. They were literally using their parents' car, their parents' video cameras and stuff like that. And that's all they did was skate. I mean, it was like all day, every day. That was it. And that little time frame of like between like 10th to like 10th, 11th, 12th grade. That's all they did. They came
and
to
that's
shop.
0708?
What's that?
That's 0708?
Yeah, then a little farther down, like 08, 09. Yeah.
So in 10 years, Austin became a pro.
Yeah, 10 years later.
It's fucking dope.
Yeah, which is insane. Yeah.
It's definitely dope. I respect the fact that I respect people who don't have social media. And like, you know, if you look at his Instagram, he got 2 posts on there or whatever. Yeah. And I fuck with that. I like that. His board's so dope too.
He's always been like super reserved. Like how we met him is this photographer, Craig Hanna. He grew up in Pittsburgh kind of for a good time of his life and took a lot of photos of people. He's like, he told JG or Jerry, he's like, I shot a photo of this kid backside heel flipping the Reason Gap in Oakland this weekend. He's like, and all he kept telling me is, I want to ride for OneUp. I want to ride for OneUp. And he's like, you know, I got to bring him down. And he never did bring him down, but Austin got down there anyway. And yeah, I mean, he was just like I wouldn't say a prodigy, but he picked up skating quick.
Yeah.
And he was like, talking to him was like talking to like an older dude, kind of like,
yeah,
he was light years ahead mentally, but he kind of was, but he wasn't. Like he's real wild,
spacey,
but he knew what he would need to do to get like somewhere farther with skateboarding. So he was like, when he needed to be, he knew what he needed to do.
That's fucking sick.
But he was a mess. Other than that, he was it was like having a kid. I mean, and there was 4 of them really.
Yeah.
It was Zach and Justin Funk, and then Drew Winden and Austin were the first tour that we put on, that like really turned us around. That like,
and like, what was it like after that? Like it started picking up.
Well, then their generation of kids like idolized them, obviously. So them riding for OneUp, we instantly became like
the place to
be. And with moving to the South Side, like we really
way more accessible.
So we were back on the map, and we had like a full store of clothing,
still Nike
shoes. We still were killing the Nikes, but by that point, like we had Adidas too. Adidas came out shortly. Like when we were in Time Bomb is when we started carrying Adidas.
How was that? Like was that like the same type of deal
Adidas
with Nike?
Was really slow at first.
Okay,
they tried to do a bunch of things. Like they want to make these like Stan Smith replica skate shoes, and they turned out to just be like really shitty. They were just shitty shoes, and they weren't selling well. And then they were putting out wild stuff that wasn't working either, like color wise.
Yeah.
And honestly, it bombed for a while. And then
I remember whenever Yins had that, and like I remember it was like Yins had Vans, Yins had Adidas, and I remember seeing the first Adidases, and I thought it was just
that's
bizarre.
Like one thing like Brick definitely taught us was like go down there with a fucking plan. Pick the brands you want to carry, and get them. Make sure you have them, and make sure you have them. Like, so when people want to come down there and buy them, that's what they're gonna. You have it.
So how did you decide on brands?
Well, we basically went with like, which is kind of like the way it just turned into it. But we weren't necessarily trying to do it. But a lot of shops did it at that same time period. Was we scaled everything down. Like we only carried really what we liked or what was like really like approved by the street skaters.
Yeah.
So like Girl and Chocolate, Ryu, Anti-Hero, obviously all that stuff. And then like Listen was big, Stereo. Zoo York was still kind of big at that point.
Man, Zoo York.
Lots of brands, but it just, so we kind of more like a boutique feel, honestly.
Yeah.
Because we were like, hey, we got Nikes. We got Nike
want.
clothing. It's like harder to get than any other Nike clothing you got in the city.
Yeah.
Like we might as well have the nicer stuff to go with it. So we had like Adidas clothing, all the Adidas skateboarding shoes. And then we started carrying Vans. Vans finally opened us up after like begging them for like 10 years. They opened us up.
Yeah. I mean, like, so, like how, you just had to keep on
Vans
it?
went through like a weird process too, because the rep really wanted to open us, but he actually couldn't get Vans to let us open them because they were going through like a shift too, where they weren't very popular for a while.
Really?
Like early 2000s, not at all.
I remember, I guess
they bombed. And so they tried to reorganize and restructure. Like they had 7-Elevens and shit in New York that had Vans, And so they canceled all those accounts, closed them all out, and just like got back to what they were doing too. And I'll know, like the one day out of blue, I called him and I was like, hey, Chris, like, what's up, man? Can you get us open or what? And he's like, I'm about to quit. He's like, but fuck it. He's like, I'm going to put your app in and just see what they say. And he put it in and got us in.
Really?
Yeah. And then he ended up quitting, and he came back. He still works for Vans now. But he got us our account. And it was like, I thought of one day I was in the shop and I was like, I'll call him. I tried for a couple months.
So how the fuck did, why did Steve Van Dorn come down to the shop? I remember
Vans,
you posting that.
If you go to, it's not really for the best reason that I care to hear, but they signed a new agreement last year with Dick's. So if you go into Dick's, they now sell Vans.
Oh, really?
Dick's headquarters is in Pittsburgh. So he was here on some corporate shit,
and just decided to stop.
We're good friends with like the rep, who one of our former Vans rep now works on his like little team.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. And I was like, well, come down. He's like, I'll bring, I'd like to bring Steve down. He's like, because we're all together anyway in the van. And I was like, fuck yeah, bring him down, And he's like, and he brought him down.
What was he like?
He was really nice. He was like impressed by our little selection we had.
Oh, yeah?
And just kind of like basic, but he's a nice guy. And he was like, we actually told him where to go eat. And they went and ate there up in Mount Washington at the Italian place up there on Bailey.
I can't remember. I don't fucking go up there.
Yeah, but anyway, they did go up there, and he like called the next day and was like, thank you. That was like really good. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like down in Southside, Yins are like the pivotal, like, I mean, that was the place to go.
We moved to 14th Street. It was pretty tight because we were right across from McCarthy's tattoo shop.
Yeah. Jester's
Court. Which he's like a longtime skater too. He knew a bunch of guys I knew growing up. So we had him there. There was already a store next door called Decade.
Yeah.
Which he was doing pretty well at the time too. He
that
was
dude's
kind of
running
like
a fucking TV show now.
I know. He turned into Yeah, he was a character to be next to.
Yeah, he was real weird.
So we had us three at first, and that was a riot because I was still pretty young at that point, and I was a total maniac too because I just discovered Southside. Like, I'd go down there to work at Diesel, but I didn't go party there, you know?
Yeah.
And like maybe once in a blue moon, we would, like, people I worked with there, we would all go out there.
Yeah.
So it was like new to me kind of, you know, being in Southside, and I got the, you know, we were out every night, just put it that way. And we were meeting everybody. Like, I met Jules, who owns a print shop now. Yeah. I met him over there. That's where I met Joe Boots. I didn't know Joe Boots till I moved to the South Side. He was another South Side original.
Wow guy.
Yeah. And we met all those guys.
All the Blasphemy dudes.
The Blasphemy dudes for sure. We met. They were down there. And then Drastic had a store, had a sneaker store down there. Soul to Soul. So that was down there a couple blocks away from us.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And so it was like a little era where it was like there was a lot of stores down there. And actually closer to BP, like on 10th or 11th, there was a guy who had a store down there that was pretty cool too. It was like hard to get clothing and shoes. I can't remember the name of it. But there was a run though, basically like from 10th down to like 21st Street.
Yeah, there's a bunch
that
of cool
people would
stores.
go up and down every Saturday, and that's why we moved down there. I mean, it's a shopping area.
Yeah,
and we did really well down there.
But other than that, it just started going up from there.
Well, because we moved down there, we kind of had some inventory. We had good inventory. We picked the right stuff.
When did they take away Nike
from me?
Yeah.
Well, so this is what happened is we went to Southside. We were killing it with the Nikes. We had Adidas and Vans. We really weren't ordering that much because it was just all Nike all day, every day. And we still had the same problems, though. His one shoe out of the month sold. The other 4 or 5 sat there.
Yeah.
So we constantly had these sales, which was good for us, too, because we were selling P-Rods and the Paul Rodriguez shoe for $45, $50 just to get rid of them.
Yeah.
You know, but we were constantly having people coming in and check to see what was on sale. So we were doing good numbers, but you know, skateboarding, again, it comes the same thing, is the other side of it, the actual interest in skateboarding itself goes up and down.
Yeah.
So we weren't selling as much of the boards, and I think I also made some I think for a little while I was ordering too much. I was trying to cater to too many people, like, and not just, you know, we were doing really good, so it was kind of hard, and I was like, well, if everyone's going to come down here and buy these black authentics,
might as well
then
have
I'm going to buy
bunch.
2 of every size instead of 1, or 3 of every size instead of 2. And so I was doing some of that, and there's really nothing you can do about that except like trial and error.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's still to the day, you still can't do it any, you know, really there's no other different way. I mean, we track it now on a computer, but there's no way, there's nothing that explains it ever, why it happens that way.
For sure.
So when we were doing that, and our rent was way more in Southside from the gate, to be in a place like we were, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
And it came, and not to mention the landlord was absolutely psychotic.
Yeah.
He was nuts. So I didn't realize once you move to Southside, anything that breaks in your store, even though it's their building, it's your fucking problem.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And most people I've heard that rent down there have the same issue with their landlord too. And you know, like, I mean, we had 3 apartments above our store down there on 1409, and one night the water heater exploded, and I came into work when there was like 2 feet of water in our basement.
Oh my God.
So I called our landlord, and he's like, call the fire department. And I was like, well, fuck you, man. Come down and look at it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the fire department can clean it up. So long story short, he didn't come down. He called the fire department, and they showed up and sucked it out.
Pumped it out.
And left about, 6 inches because the hoses couldn't get any more.
That's fucked up.
So then he was a crackhead.
Yeah.
And he came down with his crackhead buddy, and they tried to scrape or broom the rest of the water into the drain in the basement. So I dealt with that, and we had insurance, a huge insurance. This actually, it's funny, but it also sucks because I had a lot of inventory down there, and I lost it because it was basically like a flood. You know?
Oh yeah, if it's all wet.
So I lost a good bit of money on that one, some insurance money and stuff like that for inventory. We didn't necessarily get back the right amount of insurance. You know, we should have gotten back for the product.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then we had another girl, like her bathroom flooded that was above the shop, and it poured out a bunch of clothing. You just
Jesus.
eat the bullet on that one. And then not to mention, like, we signed like a 3-year lease. So our third year was over, and I already knew at that point he was fucking nuts. But you're stuck there because everyone knew where we were at. We were finally doing good again.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'll give you a 1-year lease and raise the rent. And
really?
He didn't raise it like $50. He raised it like $400
because
he knew he's like, you're doing good. I can tell. And he is a fucking piece of shit,
Yeah.
So he raised our rent, and I stayed. And I don't know if at that point, I always question that, is maybe I should have just said fuck it and moved to our store down there.
Yeah.
But I didn't for another 3 years.
Is Jerry still involved while you're doing this?
Jerry ended up going down to North Carolina about halfway through, or for about 2 years after we moved to the South Side.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one I'd rather not talk about that one on here.
Okay.
It's nothing bad on either side. It just didn't work out.
That's
down
fine.
there.
But I mean,
and
like,
we just kind of moved on from it.
Are you the sole owner then of that?
So I turned into the sole owner down there. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just me riding the ship down there,
So how did you decide to move down the road? You just needed another spot with less rent?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So, I mean, we got into trouble that 4th year down there with Nike because our rent got sky high, and our Nike shit was still only thing was paying the bills was selling dunks.
Yeah.
And we had the same problem as we always did. It was like the same cycle.
Yeah.
And it honestly was like the 3rd or 4th time we went through that in the 8 or 9 years we ran it, and I was starting to get really fucking pissed.
Yeah.
I was like kind of over it because there's all these brands that were created from SBs, clothing brands are doing good. There's all this other stuff. And the actual guys who were selling it were probably doing worse than everybody else around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, Nike was making you order this other stuff to carry the dunks, to carry the hot shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just making you over order to carry this. So, honestly, what happened was our credit rep, her name's Janice Greenstein. She used to call us every month, and she didn't give a fuck about us. She's like, I need $3,208.56. What day are you going to pay it? And we'd be like, Monday, Janice. She'd call Monday and be like, where's my money? Where's the 3208? And she'd be like, well, she was like not a nice lady, right?
Yeah.
And so this is years of doing this, like 3 to almost probably 10 or around there, 7 or 8 years of dealing with the same lady.
Yeah.
I started getting smarter, so I was like, hey, man, I would contact our rep, and I would be like, I really don't need Nikes this month. Like, we have so many shoes right now. Like, we're not selling them fast enough. It's middle of winter here. You get no one, there's no answer, put it that way, right?
Yeah.
Next month, the shoes come. Your bill gets $4,000 higher, right? And that's just the way it kept going. And the other problem that's happening at the time is SB decided that we were doing too good, and they decided to start moving SBs into Zoomies and the mall and online stores. But we weren't allowed to sell online our stock of it, but they're allowed to sell it to these places who do.
Yeah.
So it started, even the SB sales started to decrease because a lot of the true like sneakerheads didn't want nothing to do with it. Now that you can buy like
in the mall,
a dunk in the mall.
Yeah, it wasn't sought after.
So it did start to change, and I think they even got new designers in there. Some of the original ones left. So even like the hot dunk of the month, like the Quick Strike dunk, wasn't as hot as it used to be. It didn't have any traction. So we're getting all this stuff, and it's honestly, we were sitting on it, and trying to pretend like we're not, but we're sitting on it.
Yeah.
And we're fucking getting killed on this shit. And so we were just having sales, crazy sales, all the time. Everyone's coming in every day and buying them, but it just wasn't adding up, and we got it pretty high up there with Nike in debt.
Yeah.
And a lot of shops did. And they put a lot of shops like ours out of business, straight up out of business. Because what they did was they were like, when Jerry and JG started this, the account before Ivan came on, they gave us a huge credit line. Probably cost like, you could probably buy like a Honda Accord with it. Okay. And that's what you're buying shoes with. It's just Honda Accord sized credit line.
Yeah.
So, you imagine trying to, manage that where the shoes aren't going to ever stop coming. until you hit that.
Yeah, until you hit that
on a cord
fucking
line, and you want to go buy a fucking Nissan Maxima or something, you know, you're going to hit the line. And then it gets fucking real because then you owe that whole car, you know. So we kind of got to that point, and I told her one day, I was like, I can't fucking pay you. The fucking rep doesn't call me back. I went off on her. I just like, the fucking rep don't call me back.
Janice.
He doesn't call me back. Yeah, exactly. I was like, she don't call me back. No one calls me back. You only call me to ask me for money. You don't give a fuck about anything else. You know, and she's like, whoa, watch it. And I was like, no, fuck this. I was like, fucking done with this shit.
Fuck you,
like,
Janice.
fuck you guys, you know? And I didn't say fuck you guys, but I definitely dropped the F-bomb to her
I'm saying it.
a
Fuck
few
you,
more times.
Janice.
And she's like, later, hung up, and the next, probably within fucking 3 days, I got a letter from them saying this is your final bill. And I was like, well, I ain't paying that. I mean, half these shoes you sent to me, I didn't even want.
Yeah.
And legally, we pre-booked them, so I had to give them
you
to
had
them.
to.
We had to take them, but I was trying to call early and tell them, stop the
push them
train,
off
stop
just
the
a
train.
second.
Wasn't happening. So we quit drinking the juice. And they came after us. And
we quit drinking the juice.
Yeah, that's what I called it the whole time with Nike. Drink the juice, man. They keep you on the juice. They keep the shoes coming, but you're in debt, you know, to them.
Yeah.
And you have to keep the next one coming because you got to pay off your bill.
Yeah, or there's
So-
someone else that'll do it.
And like I know guys that own like a Mac Outfitter store with Apple.
Yeah.
Same way. They do it the same style. They keep you in debt because they need you to take your next month's order.
Motherfuckers.
And you're always that way. So it's like, where does it end then? You know?
Yeah.
Because then when you're ending,
Till you get to
we're
that
gonna owe you
Honda
money.
Accord.
Yeah, right.
That fucking Honda Accord.
Exactly, right.
So you move to the new store in Southside, and it's like, I feel like, you know, from my point of view, the store at 1409 was like, you know, it was smaller. Yins had like a concentrated amount of like what Yins wanted, but like the store now, Yins have so much shit.
Well, we did really good there for a time till we got into Nike trouble, and then we did have to come out with a settlement with them, and it did suck, but I did pay them back a good portion of what we owed them.
Yeah.
And after that, I just said, fuck it, man. Like, wipe that, stay clean. I was pretty drained from the shoe collector guys, the sneakerheads. Those dudes are draining to deal with.
Yeah.
They're pushy. They love you when they get what they want. And I don't know how many times I could count on more than two hands. Dudes looked me straight in the eye and were like, this is the last time I'm coming in the store. All because I sold out of the taxi dunk in a 9 point whatever, or 10.5. And they would, and then the next month they were right back in there if you had their size, and they were like, "Thank you so much," you know.
Yeah.
They were an odd crowd, and it was frustrating because some dudes were on it from the beginning, and we kept our loyalty to those guys because they bought the first dunks till the last ones we ever sold at our shop.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people would just jump on the new waivers. That would jump on and be like, "Oh, I'm a dunk guy," you know. And they come in there and be like, "Why don't you have 9.5? Why don't you have 10.5? Why don't you have 11? Like, you're the worst fucking shop." Like,
there's people
like,
that buy them.
Beat it, yeah. Your numbers, like, it's not up there.
You're six in line, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we had people that literally. I mean, we had some weird. There was a guy who got a dunk tattooed on his foot. His whole foot was a dunk.
I'm sure he did,
inside and out. He was a really cool dude.
Swoosh
but I just, it blew me away at people's like the shoe obsession.
Checks every strike.
And they didn't wear them though. And that's what forever caught me off guard is like these guys put them in their box in their room.
Yeah.
And I respect it because I collect other things too, but I don't
them on ice.
collect, you know, shoes, I'm wearing them, you know. That's just me. I just the way I am.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
But yeah, so that died and we just focused on really Vans, which has always had our back, and Adidas, which has always had our back.
Vans have been, I mean, like, have they stopped ever since they kind of like had that resurgence?
They've been doing, they really haven't. And since like the time when it's like even Dunks got popular, so skate shoes in general were popular. Like Nike, Vans embraced that and pretty much took off with it, and now they're killing it.
If you think about it, like a Van shoe is the only shoe that you could ever have where like you see people that are broke as fuck wearing, or you see people like Lil Wayne wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, like it doesn't, and even just the regular authentics, they're $50.
Yeah.
And billionaires are wearing them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like not everyone is wearing Nikes, not everyone is wearing different Adidas's and shit.
Yeah.
It's just they're a weird company. And I mean, I guess it's volatile too because skateboarders are like, you know, like the real skateboarders are like the proud that they don't want the mainstream. Like they want their own bullshit.
Yeah.
But The store is fucking dope now. I mean, like it's just
good.
like it's down there. You got like fucking anything you want.
We changed it up. Like we kind of like the last year or two that we were at 1409 was tough because we were paying so much freaking rent. A lot of people definitely did stop coming because we didn't have Nikes.
Yeah,
and so we had to not necessarily deal with that, but we had to kind of like change because we did cater to the Nike SB like footwear and apparel.
Yeah,
and a lot of the people that came in, that's all they came to buy. And at the time, they were just like, I don't care about Adidas. I don't want Vans.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to really change it up a little
spot.
bit and go back to like kind of like the grassroots, like again, what we liked, what we thought would sell well and what we could afford to carry. And
absolutely.
So some people didn't like it that way, but I kind of actually liked it like that because it was like the only brands we were carrying were people that we either knew or people that would support us.
Yeah.
And then, Adidas and Vans were really cool to us even when we had a couple of times where we had hard times and they had to work with us and we had to talk to like some higher ups and be like, you'll get your money, like they've always both stuck with us. So we stuck with them and
so how the
tried
fuck
to
did
really get into the branding, more of like the OneUp gear, stuff like that. So
how the fuck did Brandon come into play? It's like he ran piece of wood.
I moved the shop from 1409 down to 1923 and was still like, I just knew I had to get out of there because we were paying way too much rent. The dude was never going to stop asking for more rent.
Yeah.
I'm sure that glass shop down there now is getting fucked too.
Yeah, well, all their shit is trash, so I don't even understand how them places even stay alone.
I don't know anything about their business, but I know he's going to fuck whoever goes down there.
I'll tell you, it's trash.
So what happened was Blasphemy, which we were friends with them, moved out of their storefront about 6 months probably before we started looking for a place. And I was looking around, and I don't know why I never even thought of their building or realized that it was open. Because 19th is kind of like a dead street.
Yeah, it's a weird street.
It's a little bit of an odd area, and I'm like, all right, so we're going to move out of. I called it the Bermuda Triangle, where we were at on 1409, because there was a bar on every freaking corner.
Yeah, you're everywhere.
And everywhere you look, it's just bars, and it was nuts down there. And I was like, so we're going to move from there down to 19th. I don't know, like it's dead down there. And also Southside in the basically 10 years we've been there has changed a lot too.
For sure.
Like from the first St. Patty's Day, I use St. Patty's Day as a marker of like levels of Southside. And our first St. Patty's Day was the nicest one ever. Like,
it was nice.
Peggy Finnegan was in our store with her freaking kids buying like SBs for her husband. And we actually did our first St. Patty's Day. We did our best number we ever did, like 1 day sales.
Yeah.
Like just off the store. On that day. And the very next year was a year where a dude ran over like a wife and her baby like down 10th Street on St. Patty's Day. They didn't really put that on news a lot.
Yeah, I never knew that.
It happened.
Killed them?
Yeah. The baby, I think, yeah.
Jesus.
I want to say maybe they both died or
that's fucked
the baby
up.
died, but it was so.
If you gave me $100 bill,
yeah,
and you said, "Will you go down and just stay down St. Patty's Day for 4 hours?" I'll tell you to fuck yourself.
Yeah,
down in Southside.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I worked at Threads. Is a retail.
Yeah, you
retail
were in
store.
the same area. So.
Yeah, it's right down there, and it was just fucked up. And it was even weird to see, like, the 3 years that I was there, like how different things are. Like we're right at the bodega where Starbucks is. That's where we were, and then we moved across the street, and that made such.
And you guys moved in there right when we were moving out. You guys were just getting started over there.
Yeah, that place was such a huge. It was such a huge difference to move over, even because like the sun hits the other side of the street as far as like foot traffic, and to like see all the different like retail aspects of it all was wild. So you moving down 19th, was that good, or did you see negative?
It was scary because everyone was like, "Oh man, once you cross over 18th, it's dead," And I'd drive down there and I'd be like, "Fuck, there's no one walking around down there," And but Dave and those guys told us, like, look, man, like there's people down there. They're going to walk down. You just have to let them know.
Yeah, for sure.
But our problem was our fucking landlord at 1409 was nuts. So he was tearing down my signs every day whenever I moved out and put signs that, hey, we moved to 1409 to 1923, whatever. He's tearing them down at the old shop. And, it was a stressful time because that guy literally, like, got us for a lot of money and a lot of rent down there.
He's a crackhead, and he brought his crackhead friend.
Oh, he did. And so what he would do is, just for example, and this happens to a lot of people in Southside, I don't know about it anymore, but it did. They owned the shop down there. He'd come down drunk and be like, "Let me get $100. I'll give you 160 off your rent." And so I'd give him $100, and I'd say it was 160 off rent, and I'd make him sign it, right?
Yeah.
Well, his wife owned a car dealership up in Mount Oliver. I'm not going to say her name.
Okay.
You can tell there's only one.
Okay.
So I'd go up there to pay my rent in the month, and she'd be like, "Well, you're $400 or $420 short." I'd be like, "Nope." He came down. Here's his 2 receipts. Here's what he gave me. Here's what I gave him. Here's what I took off the rent, And he'd call me. "I didn't take that money." I'd be like, "Motherfucker, you signed the paper, dude."
Yeah.
And all I'm trying to do is pay my
up.
rent. So they'd make it like miserable for me just to pay their rent. Because he didn't tell her anything. She didn't know anything.
Yeah, it was all
She's coming
sneaking
down on me, and he's taking money to see if he got to do drugs. And then, it was a nightmare, man. It just...
So it ended up being a positive move.
Hell yeah, because we moved down there, and Dave put us on to this guy Carmine. So he came into my shop one day, and he goes, "Is Greg there?" And I was like... at this point, I was like, been in Southside long enough, and I was... probably frustrated with the whole deal of the store, everything, and I was like, "Why are you at?" I was like, "Who are you? Why would you come here knowing my name? And I don't know who you are. I didn't know. I just didn't know what he wanted or why."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm Carmine. I own the building on 1923." And I'm like, "I'm so sorry, man. I didn't mean to get an attitude. I don't know who you were." He's like, "I get it. You've been down here. He's like, I do the same thing." And he's like, "Do you want to come down?" So I walked down with him, and he owns a real estate company too that's in that building.
Yeah.
So. He's like telling me about that. Then he shows it to me, and I'm like, "This could work." And he tells me the rent, and I'm like, "Done. We're out of here."
Oh, yeah.
So I call him a landlord. I was like, "Fuck you, dude. We're out of here this week. I'm out Sunday. Go fuck yourself." Because I was waiting to do that for so long.
Yeah.
And so he's like calling me nonstop, like, "You're not leaving me." And then he'd call me like 3 a.m, like, "I think I was too mean to you, Like, I was like, "Fuck you, man." Like, I was answering every call because I wanted to let him know that I fucking hated him.
Yeah.
And he fucked me over. I was like, "You got everything you wanted. You got your rent every month. Fuck you. Leave me alone, And he really did give me a hard time the whole time we were there. Anyone who knows it was like down there knows it was not pleasant being there with that guy.
Not a pleasant sight.
No. But so we moved down there, and way cheaper rent. And it took us a little while to like get going.
People to know that it's down there.
And that was the hardest part. And I was surprised. I'm like, it's freaking 4 blocks, man. Like, how's this going to be hard? And
that's wild, though.
But at the same time, it comes back to the same thing. Skateboarding goes on these up and down cycles, and we were in another shitty cycle, all while we're like moving too, So the interest in like skateboarding wasn't as high. The apparel, like the SB stuff, settled down.
Yeah.
And even like the Vans and everything else, like. Everybody wanted to wear skate shoes for like about 8 or 9 years, and then like that, it just stopped.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody went on to running shoes. Everyone went back to whatever else they were wearing, but like the general public wore them for like 8 or 9 years. It was a great 8 or 9 years, but it's over.
Yeah.
Like, and actually it's not over. It evolved. It turned into Zoomies and PacSun.
For sure.
So basically, the industry just sectioned off and said, "Hey, well, there you go."
So how does Brandon come into play?
I seriously got really sick and tired of like, I think anyone that does anything for long enough, like, I've been doing it. Shop's been open for 16 years. I've been doing it for 15 years of it. And you go through enough ups and downs and financial cycles and woes,
put it off on
headaches. And I didn't want to close it. I was way too stubborn because I knew.
But almost like the pizza shop. You wanted to hire.
Everything we've almost always done. Like I feel like I'd be like quitting on, a lot of people that gave a lot to us.
For sure.
And we still had a lot to offer too. That was the thing. So it's like you're just throwing away like a good thing. But it's a time like in our like inner group of friends and guys who like made videos of the shop, like or skated for the shop. There wasn't anyone that like stood out or that was like had any interest in doing it. Did like approach to me that was like, "Hey Greg, like you need some help. Like what can I,
Yeah.
Like you want, like, can I buy in or can I do this or that?" No one really like did that, and I was sitting there thinking like, all right, well, I've seen like Headboard and I've seen all these other shops where the owners start to get a little bit older.
Yeah.
They start to lose touch with like the youth, and then like they start to, the sales obviously go down too. And then it's like, I don't want to be on that ship. Like, you don't want to
be the old dude that doesn't know.
Like, I'm gonna make a good
popping.
move, man. I don't want to do something stupid and close it, and everyone will be like, "Oh well, I missed OneUp or whatever, or it just, I don't know. There's nothing to replace us anyway.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And it just came that I was like, I knew him because he had a brand called Piece of Wood Skateboards.
Yeah, Piece of Wood.
So he would come in and just run my ear off because he talks a ton about everything under the freaking sun. Yeah. All these kids that he had sponsored with him, how he got his boards, where he got them from.
He got a wild story though.
He's Mr. Business. Like
yeah, he's an interesting dude.
He's a character, and like you can either handle him or you can't. Like there's a hard.
Like I said, dude, whenever I first met him, he was super quiet, and I guess I caught him on like the 1% off day because it's whenever I got him in here, it's like we had a great conversation.
Yeah.
Like, and he got a crazy story. He did some cool shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, like he looks like he's doing cool shit down there now.
Yeah, but it was cool. Like we were at an event at Pittsburgh Park. It was like one of the newer parks, and so we would always the one thing was cool that he always did, and I really respected this is he didn't even care if he was invited or not. He's coming to whatever event you had and supporting.
Yeah.
He didn't care if his logo was like front and center on there, but he's going to bring his squad or a couple guys with him and do his thing. And I always appreciated that. I thought it was really cool, and he did a lot for the kids that he. Would support or rode for, sponsored, The same way we did a lot for ours. Like if they needed, trip to Philly, send them to Philly, or whatever. Stuff like that. We do a lot of that stuff. So I appreciate that. I was talking to him and I'm like, look, man, I'm on like my last leg here. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, you're a business savvy guy, I think you would be good for it. Like, and he was like, just looked at me and he was like, I've always wanted to run a skate shop. And I'm like, I knew what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, man. Like, I've been like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I was like, trust me. Like, we'll get this to work out. So at the time he had another job going on, and so he was like, he kind of like invested a little bit of money in it, and was like, here, like, let's get this going. And it helped me out because we got some better inventory in there in the newer store for the holidays.
Yeah,
and we're able to have like a halfway decent Christmas and get stuff going. And he saw it, and he was like, wow, just, little by little, put a little bit in here and there, see what we can do, And then he kind of watched for like the first year. He like watched what I was doing, how I dealt with the reps, like ordering. Like I'd show him how I was ordering. Maybe at first I probably did, and I was probably kind of like hesitant because I'm like, I'm not showing this dude like my full deck of cards, like, But he earned it, man. He was coming down like when he could, when he wasn't working, and like listening and asking tons of questions. And he talks a lot, so we were always talking about like he's always picking my brain,
Yeah.
And then it was about like probably about a year and a half of like me and him kind of doing it together. He had surgery on his back, so he got like long-term disability off work.
Yeah.
So he's able to come down the shop like every day, And so we got a little deal worked out, and he came down there like full time. And then probably like 6 months after that, like I got offered a job because I got my real estate license like in between while I was moving to 19th Street. I got my real estate license, so I was working for my landlord of the skate shop down there doing real estate. I got offered to do a job that would kind of like require some office time every day. And to be a property manager, for a real estate company, So I took that and kind of was like, here you go, man.
Yeah.
And he gave me, honestly, he was like, yo, man, you need to do this. Like, you've been doing this for a long time. Like, do something, you seem like you want to get into something else. Like, take your time, get into it. I'll be here. Like, because he was really appreciative that, like, he bought into something that's like already established. Like, the name's there. A lot of the skaters are already there. Like, and he honestly did it similarly to the way I did. Like, I wasn't the first dude to start OneUp like Jerry and JG did, but I was there shortly after,
Yeah.
And he kind of came in the same way I did. So I respected that. Like, there was a need for someone to come in and filled the need and doing a good job,
Yeah.
That's basically what I did too. Similar reasons and everything. And so, yeah, I mean, then I kind of like, it was hard at first, but I kind of like, was like, all right, well, as I've never worked in an office or anything like that, and I was like scared. I was like, Jesus
definitely
Christ,
a different world.
This is fucking nuts. I'm basically going from being a babysitter of like 18 to like 25-year-olds every day
to being
like,
the low guy.
Yeah, to being like a guy that, I got to manage people and take care of their property and take care of the property owners too, keep them happy and stuff like that. So
Well, that's a fucking wild ride.
It's a wild ride, is right. So I've been doing that now for about a year and a half. So it's been working good. Like he's the day-to-day dude down there at the shop now.
Yeah.
Like and I come down there during the week after work, as much as I can. And, like I was doing Saturdays for a while too, but it just got to be too hard, man. Like you work
I get
Monday
it.
through
It's
Friday.
crazy.
And plus, like anyone who worked in like restaurant or any retail or any of that, Saturday and Sundays are big shopping days.
Yeah, you have to work.
I mean, prior to getting in the skate shop, I was doing pizza. So literally, like I didn't even know what it was like to be off on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Up until like the last 2 years, because I worked every freaking Saturday. It's just how it was,
Yeah.
Sundays, a lot of them I was off, but Saturdays never. And it's like, it's pretty crazy, to be able to do that. So now I'm kind of happy where I'm at. Like, I'm not like the go-to guy at the shop, but I'm like there enough. I know what's going on.
You still know what's up.
And Brandon still is like asking me questions for certain things.
Yeah, dude,
and,
I fucking love him.
Able to like,
he's an awesome dude.
Yeah, I can put my advice in, and then I let him go take it a little farther to that.
Yeah, but I feel like he's also someone that like just by hearing him talk about it, you could tell that like he's in it for the good of it.
Well, he is, and that's the thing. Like, I never really got into it either. I knew when I got into it, I'm not going to be able to make $1 million off this.
Yeah,
and blah blah blah. But it was for the love, and also, we want to do a good thing, and I think we've done pretty well at that over the years. Like,
fuck yeah,
So I'm not mad about anything. I mean,
you got a good story, dude.
Yeah, it's not been an easy ride, but it's been a good one.
Yeah,
you
got a good story.
But I think like the coolest part is just everyone I've met over the years, like literally, like,
and you've seen everyone grow, like Austin and shit. That has to be so dope to see that.
Yeah, and even like guys like all your friends, like I know all them through the skate shop.
Yeah, for sure,
like,
Zach and everything.
Like I like when I used to love them. I still do when they come in. Talk, bullshit like skate nerd style.
So Zach,
about everything going on in the industry.
Like,
and all
I
that
approached
stuff.
Zach about like talking to you, and I was like, "What do you think about me like asking him to come on here?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Dude, you definitely should. Like, he has like such a crazy story. He was like, he's such a great dude. Like the whole like Jamie Thomas shit. He was like, dude, he just does nice stuff for people. And I'm pumped that I got to." Get a
got a good taste of it.
Yeah, dude. I feel like we hit every fucking thing we could have.
Pretty much did. Yeah, it's really hard because I was thinking about it today, and I was like, and actually been thinking about it for a little while.
Dude, I was so nervous.
There's a lot of time to pack into this.
I was so nervous.
I was too. You can ask my wife this morning. I was a little nervous leaving the house because she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, I don't know. I got to do this podcast, and I'm nervous.
Well, I was nervous because like
freeze up or something,
I wanted to be able to like do adjust it as far as a time frame. But all right, so let me get to the ending segment that I do with everyone. I do an ending segment with everyone called Desert Island Questions. Desert Island Questions is a game that I play where I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island. So the first category to take with you is things to watch. So you get 3 choices. Anything you want to watch. Whole series, whole anthologies.
Wow. Anything to watch.
Anything you want.
Well, I'm definitely going to take skate videos because I've been living off those for the last like 20 years.
What are your 3 favorite?
So I would probably take Plan B Virtual Reality, which came out in like 93 or so.
Okay.
Which was like the first video I saw, like blew my mind. It was basically like
I never watched it.
Yeah, it was most of the guys turned into like Girl and Chocolate skateboards, like Mike Carroll, Rick Howard, all those guys. That was their video when they were. Video Days by Blind.
I have seen that.
Just for like how groundbreaking it is, kind of like Mark Gonzalez did the first handrail, ever on video in that one.
Oh, was it?
Jason Lee's in that video.
Yeah, Jason Lee.
He was in that video. Spike Jones made it. It's.
I didn't know that he made it.
It's some serious and Guy Mariano's part as like a little kid is like ridiculous to the Jackson 5 song is just like. World Industries Love Child is amazing.
I've seen that.
Soundtrack is amazing, and that was another video that just came like where you watch it and you were like, holy shit.
Do you have any parts on video?
Nah, I never did, man. I honestly, I guess you'd call me like a soul skater or whatever because like I for real did not care about filming. Like at one point in time I did when I got more associated with the skate shop and stuff and guys were like going out filming. I was like, I want to film this because I was, for like little shop trailers and stuff. But like I didn't grow up doing it and it's not that easy to do. Like,
you have a favorite trick you've ever done? What you're most proud of?
I have a line that everyone likes to watch. I did it at Pitt.
It's on video?
At Cathedral, yeah. Yeah, it's on video.
You just fucking told me there's nothing on video.
Oh, there is. I mean, like little clips, but I don't have like a full part though. No.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I got a line there. Everybody likes that. But
all right.
I'll send it to you or show it to you tonight.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
That's dope.
But,
all right, so you picked virtual reality, blind.
Yeah, video days.
And then World Industries.
Yeah, we're at Love Child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so second category, do you read it all?
No.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, I was going to say, so we'll do this. We'll say pick 3 movies that are not skate videos.
All right. That's Casino.
Oh, man. Are you a Casino over Goodfellas?
No. But I just like Casino, though.
Casino's my favorite.
Yeah, I don't. That's like the best movie ever. I could watch it over and over.
1,000%, dude.
The Goonies.
Yeah, that's real good.
Because the Goonies, I
you ever see the Monster Squad?
I love that movie. No, I never did. No.
Monster Squad is like the Goonies, but way better.
Really?
I promise you, it's 100% better. These kids are all about monsters.
Yeah.
And they love it. They have like a tree house with a monster movie clubhouse.
Yeah.
And all they do is love it. And like the dude's mom, the main kid's mom, buys him Van Helsing's diary.
Yeah.
And it says like, oh, every 100 years, Dracula comes back with all the monsters and they try to take over the world. So honestly, I have a whole leg sleeve of it. It's my favorite movie of all time.
That's tight. I'll have to check it out.
It's on Netflix. And the graphics and everything are, the special effects and everything are so fucking good. But okay, so Casino, Goonies,
The Bronx Tale.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's a real good movie.
Yeah,
man, that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
You're super Italian.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you pronounce your last name?
Pasquarella.
Pasquarella. Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of different forms. There's like Pasquarellis.
Yeah.
And there's Pasquas. And
I've heard 1,000 of them. Pasquarella's, I knew Pasquarella pronunciation, but okay. So the third category is things to listen to. So it could be whole CDs, whatever.
Sounds weird, but I'm a big Steely Dan fan.
Really? Steely Dan?
Dude, I love Steely Dan. I don't know why. Since I've been a kid, I've liked Steely Dan. I think that was my parents' influence on me, right?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Not a person on here has ever picked Steely Dan, so there's a first.
I can always listen to Steely Dan. I don't know why. I get made fun of it for it all the time.
That's good, though.
I listened to Wu-Tang for like a decade straight, so I'm going to have to say, even though I don't listen to him so much anymore.
That's all right.
I'm going to say I'm a Wu-Tang head.
That's nostalgic.
And probably just really, I like soul music.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good shit.
Marvin Gaye, all that stuff.
That's good.
I love all that stuff.
I was real surprised Germ's musical choices. Like, he's a big soul jazz.
Germ's, like, when we met him, he used to listen. He always had headphones in. Not only skating, but he always had headphones on.
Yeah.
That's all we ever listened to was all that.
It's wild, dude. I looked at his vinyl collection.
If you think blues and Dipset and you listen to his music, like to his beats and stuff,
it makes sense.
It does. Yeah. He's a good kid. He's a good dude.
Interesting dude for sure.
Yeah.
I had to peel him away like an onion, but he was a really good talk.
He's hard. He has got a show on the out. He's very
super shelled.
Since he's been a kid, he's been that way. He's not changed at all.
Like, I got there before. You know who Boyd is? Justin Boyd.
Yeah.
So he was like, "I'll do the interview, but if Boyd's there, I don't know why." So I got there before Boyd, and I got there, and he was like, "Oh, so why?" I was like telling him why I do these podcasts. I was like, I talk to people I find interesting about what they do and how they got to that point in life. You know, I give everyone that whole pitch, and he was like, "So why me?" And I think he was thinking that I was going to be like, "Oh, tell me about Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller." But I was like, you produced a lot of my favorite music, like the 58s, and immediately, like, we had like something a little bit different, and we didn't even talk about the whole Wiz and Mac shit, because that's not why I wanted to talk to him.
Yeah.
But I knew he was dope at skating. I knew that he fucking
really good
had
skateboarding, really good,
a real interesting backstory. But so once he got it rolling, it was dope.
Yeah, us being in Time Bomb is where he got into.
That's what he told me.
Everyone, like Boaz, I still remember he gave Boaz a CD.
That's what he
Boaz
told that
gave
story.
him like the weirdest, shittiest look ever. Was like, all right, I'll take it. And then he came back the next day.
Turned
and he's
out
like,
to be fire.
Where's Jerem at? Is that kid Jerem?
That's
dope. And it was pretty cool, man. Yeah.
Second to last question is death row meal. So you could pick whatever you want to eat wherever you want.
That's tough, and I didn't do any prep thinking for this. I should have.
That's all right. You got whatever comes to your mind. Once this ends, I could turn that fucking air conditioner back on.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna say chicken parm from La Tavola in Mount Washington.
La Tavola, I never heard of that.
It's a really good Italian place in Mount Washington.
Chicken parm.
If you're on Bailey, it's right across from the right next to the Kogos.
Oh yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah, it's right there.
Huh?
Yeah, it's really good.
La Tavola.
Yeah,
chicken parm.
Guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, so the last question that I ask everyone is, if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
That's a tough one too, man. But I would honestly say Mario Lemieux.
Mary Lemieux?
Because
that makes sense.
He took the pen, like, he's been through a lot, you know what I mean? And he's done a lot for Pittsburgh, but he also, like, kind of took the team on his back and, like, bought it and owned it, you know what I mean?
Went through the shit.
Got a new arena, like, fought for it a lot, did a lot of things for, you know, not just him or the Penguins, but for Pittsburgh.
It's a really good answer.
To make it, like, a better area.
That's a really good answer.
And plus all the stuff he does with, like, cancer research and all that is really cool. And just, like, pick his brain, because, I mean, like, the dude's super talented, obviously, in hockey. And, like,
for sure.
I would like to talk to someone that's, like, a freak talent, like, to be that good, you know? Like, I just like to pick his brain.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
Having a conversation with Rodney Mullen or something.
I feel like I'd probably, like, freak him out, ask him questions, but...
Real in-depth?
Yeah.
Like that one shot you had in 96?
Not necessarily that, but just, like, yeah, I mean, it's just weird to me how you can be that good at something, you know? And then, at the same time, be that good of a person, too, is, like, pretty... You know.
Yeah. I will tell you, one time my buddy had cancer and he was at one of the Make-A-Wish things, and he was standing with Michael Jordan at a tent, and my buddy looked like, he said he walked up, asked Mary Lemieux for his autograph, and Mary Lemieux just went, not right now. And really? And he told me this, and I was like, wait, how sick did you look? And he was like, I looked like powder. And he was like, I was ready to die, dude. And he said no, and he was like, I'll never forgive him.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious, the story. He laughs about it now.
If you ever get Brick on here, ask him about
dude,
ask him about Jaromir Jagr.
I've asked him 100 times. He won't do it.
No?
Brick, he was like, dude, I can't. He was like, I can't talk unfiltered like that. He was like, I can't go on record. And I think eventually I'll get to him.
Yeah, I mean, he did.
Dude,
he has so much. He's
like
connected with.
I know
like,
what he is.
It's so cool
what he is.
that the more of these I've been listening to of all your podcasts, I'm like, God, he has to go on there because he got like,
dude, I know what
multiple
he is.
generations and different like facets of stuff in Pittsburgh. That
different facets of everything.
To,
and like I know that
it's pretty gnarly.
Like that dude is a fucking gangster. Like OG, like respected by all. And like I would definitely come correct to it. Like I research everyone. I talk to I really try to do something good with this. Yeah. And I think eventually I'll get to him.
Well, I'll have to get on him.
Get in this fucking ear.
Yeah, I'll tell him I came
on this. All these people listening, get on his ear.
I'll tell him I came on this, so he'll get a kick out of it.
All right, so all right, dude. I fucking appreciate you coming over.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it too.
It was a good conversation.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. So take some time, plug whatever you want to plug.
Well, you got to come down to our skate shop. Keep us moving. Keep the blood coming in there.
1923. After you hear about all the struggles.
East Carson.
After you hear about all this struggle. One of my favorite things Brandon ever did was that Skate Junk article of like the whole day of sales and shit like that. Yeah. That thing was so fucking sick. And I feel like if people seen that, it would make them like, you know, kind of put down the computer for a second and go shop at like brick and mortar.
The other good one, really good one was Zed's, man, because Zed broke it down really well too, probably better than I can do it or anyone. I mean, he has a good knowledge of like what he does, and he's able to like explain it very well. And like those dudes are cool,
they're fucking
man.
Killing it, and they're good people.
They're the coolest neighbors we ever had by far. Like, and they're legit. Like,
you guys seem to be like
really nice.
You work off each other.
We do because it's similar like groups of people who have interest in stuff.
Absolutely,
too. And we push kids down there. They push kids down our way too. That
100%.
But it's a great mix. So,
what's the Instagram?
It's OneUp PGH.
All right.
Yep, come through. Drink a beer.
Enjoy it and tell just go down and see what this was about.
Yep.
Everyone else listening, I appreciate it as always. This was a long one today, but it was so good. I'll call you right back on Instagram. I'll call you right back across the boards. I'm nominated for best podcast in Pittsburgh. I got my link in my bio. Click on it. Vote for me if you'd like. I got brand new shirts dropping on. By the time you hear this, they'll be out. And I just hit 20,000 downloads. So the train keeps going.
Good job.
I appreciate it, and I'll call you right back.